channels. Namaskar. Welcome to the special broadcast of US 2024 presidential elections. I'm Sree Iyer, your host, and I'm joined by 𝗤𝙧 𝗤𝙀𝘆 as we have done so much work in the past 4 years telling you the truth as it is. 𝗤𝙧 namaskar and welcome to PGurus channel. Welcome to the special broadcast, sir.
Namaskar and good morning to everybody in India and good evening to everybody in United States and early evening to those in the West Coast, and very soon, we will be getting the West Coast results as well to make a very wonderful kind of election outcome and election analysis, as we head towards late evening in United States.
Thank you so much, sir. And now I'm going to just have you give an initial comment on where things stand. I'm sorry, this is not what I wanted to have. This is what I wanted to have. Sir, over to you, sir. Just give an initial statement on how you see this election day. Where do you see the trends? What are the things that Trump needs to do to win? And what are the things that Kamala Harris needs to do to win? Over to you, sir.
Great. Thank you so much. And Sree, I think we did a curtain raiser and we said, if things go per the norms as it occurred in 2020 for Biden, it's a hands-down victory for Harris. But what Trump needed to do was to persuade the voters more specifically in those battleground states, as well as in some incumbent Democratic states, to persuade the independent and Democratic voters to say the country is going in the wrong direction and he has policies to set course. That's exactly what has happened thus far. If you look at the election roadmap, can we bring the numbers as we stand, Sree? Is it possible?
Yes. I am ringing it up. Sir, over to you.
Yes. Okay. Now, this is the House election results. Let me give you a quick update as I look at my screen. As we stand, as we speak now, Trump has 195 electoral college votes compared to 117 electoral college votes for Madam Harris. Okay, remember, you should add the 3 West Coast states, roughly making up about another 70 to 80 votes between Washington State. Yes, there you go. So Washington State, Oregon, and California, they will all be Democratic. So the story is that as we speak, Trump has held his position in all the states that he won in 2020. But it also looks like he's going to win Virginia, which is historically a Democratic state. He seems to be performing well in Georgia. He seems to be performing well also in Wisconsin, which is a battleground state. Both Georgia and Wisconsin are battleground states. We don't have numbers as yet from Arizona.
Trump is 51% in Wisconsin and Kamala Harris is 47%, and it is 12% of votes counted. It's actually up on your screen. It is too small for you. Viewers, if you can watch this on your television, please watch it on television. This is Associated Press. This is accurate news, and we have everything here which is telling you what is going on. So that's one. Sir, please go ahead, sir. Please continue.
So I think that.
Go ahead, sir. We seem to have momentarily lost him. Today, what I'm seeing, viewers, is we seem to have momentarily lost him. Today, what I'm seeing is there's an extraordinary amount of traffic on StreamYard, the software that we use to actually bring all these videos. In fact, it took me about 25-30 seconds to go live. I was not even sure if it was going to let our program begin. Luckily, it did begin. Unfortunately, we have lost 𝗤𝙧 𝗤𝘀𝘆 momentarily, but he will be rejoining us. What he was saying was the surprise about, let me just show you that. The surprise, this is not very good. This might be easier. The surprise about what is happening in the state of Wisconsin. Wisconsin is one state that Trump won in 2016, and now we have seen that he has won it again. Sir, back to you, sir. Over to you, Wisconsin.
So Wisconsin, I don't know whether the results have been announced, but he is leading by a big margin in Wisconsin. So I think at least one of those 3 battleground states up in the north clearly, he has turned the tide. It'll be interesting. Very early numbers in Pennsylvania and very early numbers as yet in Michigan. So those are the other two states that we need to kind of watch very closely, and very, very closely as the day progresses. So what are some key headlines? The key headlines are, we had predicted in the curtain raiser show, if Trump has to prevail, he has to persuade. There is very clearly a swing happening within the Democratic Party voters, the traditional voters, in terms of switching their allegiance to President Trump or former President Trump. Amazing data that is coming out is more than 25% of the Black American males seems to have flipped their coin in favor of President Trump, persuaded by his policies, persuaded by things that are going wrong in the country. That's a big number. Historically, that is below or close to 10%. That number is a big number. We still don't have the data as yet in terms of, the so-called, the middle independent, who traditionally, favor Israel and, being a long-term partner. To what extent that vote has translated to Trump versus Madam Harris, that's another analysis. That's another piece of data that we'll be looking at. But another piece of data that's coming out is, this is those Americans living in legal Americans, and those who are in the process of getting their legal status. Both these categories of people in opinion polls, in terms of their voting preferences, have indicated this whole illegal migration that is taking place is a threat to their own jobs and is a threat to the American economy. Again, this is a data that is coming out of the polls, exit polls, and some of the voter feedback. So whether the media read this and whether the media translated this in their poll numbers and whether they have communicated many of these things is a big question mark, which we will probably kind of cover over the next few days as we deep dive and analyze the changing landscape within United States.
Thank you so much, Sridharji. And I just want to update you on Wisconsin. I think it has flipped just moments ago. I'm just going to bring up the latest numbers on Wisconsin. Wisconsin as a state is now, Kamala Harris is 51.1%, Donald Trump at 47.3%, and 19% of the votes counted. Again, this is one site. We have to find out what the other things say. So, Sridharji, if it's okay with you, I'm going to go to the other screen, which will show us a lot more big numbers. That's easy for all our viewers also to see. Here we go.
Yeah.
This is the one. I'm just bringing it up. Sir, over to you.
Yeah. Yes. Florida, outstanding. I mean, outstanding numbers, 56% to 43%, 13%. It just shows the effective campaign ran by the governor. It also tells you that there was a lot of migration that happened to Florida, and most of it seems to be not those who had the Democratic credentials coming over. It seems to be most of the people migrating towards or gravitating towards a state, which is favorable, conservative in many ways. So that number tells you 56 to 43 is a significant kind of a number, in terms of what has happened in Florida. It's no longer a kind of a small margin. It's 13% margin. Georgia, again, you can see 76% of the thing has come in, 52 to 47%. Michigan, very clearly, what the number is, only 13%. That's what I said. It's very early voting in Michigan. North Carolina, which is kind of the toss-up state. You can see 51 to 48%, 59%. Very important data in which we have been tracking in North Carolina is some of the counties like Mecklenburg County, etc., where traditionally you have a large number of the African American votes. They don't seem to have turned up for voting. That again is affecting relative to 2020, how it was in favor of Biden versus no votes means that the count goes in favor of President Trump or the former President Trump. Now, as far as the Wisconsin state is concerned, Senate race is concerned, the Democrat Tammy Baldwin is leading by 51%. West Virginia, Jim Justice has flipped the seat from Democrat to Republican in the Senate, and so I think the Republicans have almost pretty close or even, and they probably need one seat to gain majority in the Senate. So they are, subject to their retaining the other Senate seats. Rick Scott in Florida, again, big percentage. There was no surprise. He has claimed his. Ted Cruz, who was trailing, is now up 53% to 45% against his Democratic rival Colin Allred, with 72% or 70% of the votes coming in. There's no surprise in Vermont. Sanders is hands down victor. He's a very strong constituent base, so he'll be back at helm. As for these are all House seats. Tom Barrett is leading Democrat. Again, these are all still very early kind of votes. So you will see both Senate, House, and the presidential numbers constantly, coming up as the election progresses. And right now, based on the trends, it looks like either it'll be even Stevens in the Senate, or the Republicans may gain one seat majority. Obviously, if President Trump gets elected, then they would probably have a tying vote cast by him, which is tying vote cast by his vice president, which will be 2 seats majority for in the Senate. House is still too close to call. We have a long night ahead. There's a lot of seats in the West Coast, but we'll follow House. House and Senate are equally important within the context of a united government or a divided government. A united government is one when you have President, House, and Senate in one hand. But when you have a divided House and a divided Senate, then that means that we have a divided government. Many people believe in the United States a divided government is better for the country as opposed to a united government, because sometimes the policies need checks and balances. There is also governor races that are going on in few states. They have implications within the context of the policies that are enacted within the state, especially also the state laws and the election process, the process of conducting the elections. Yeah.
Sridharji, just take a break for a second if you want to drink a glass of water. You've been going non-stop for 12 minutes now, and just take a break if you want for a water. What I'm going to do is I'm going to switch back to the other screen. The text may be a little bit small to read, so I'm going to just try and adjust it so all our viewers can read it. This is the latest information, viewers, with regards to not just the US presidential election, but also Senate races, Congress, as well as the governors. The governors also is very important. When push comes to shove, you want a governor majority also. So we are going to just go to that. Sridharji, if you don't mind, I'm just going to switch over to the other screen.
Yeah, please.
Try and see if I can bring it up in a big way. Let me just see if I need to enhance the screen font size. Just 1 second. All right. Now let me see if I can enhance the size. Sridharji, if you are able to see it, please let me know. The President, Senate, House, Governor. Just 1 second, sir. 1 second, 1 second. Are you able to see it?
Yep.
Go ahead, sir.
Well, I think this is the presidential race, I think, which was shown by Sree Ji, 178 to 99. I think the numbers have moved a little bit further. The numbers that I'm seeing is 195 to 117. AP probably will update shortly. So the number is already moved to 195 to 1. Some more states have been announced. So this is on the presidential update, Sree Ji. Now you can go to Senate.
Yeah, Senate is right there, sir. Next column. Senate is 3646.
Next
right there,
okay.
This number. We're looking at the big numbers. Yeah, nothing else. Numbers only.
36, Senate is 3646. House is 73,103. Remember that these numbers include some of the numbers that are not going for elections. They're already either Republicans or Democrats.
Correct.
So the numbers flip, the numbers change, predicated by the results as they come out. So Senate now is 46-36 with 18 more results to come in to, I think it's about 100 seats in Senate. 51 is the majority, and we have 104-73 in the House. Lots of seats to come. Right now we have, I think, between some 214 or 220 is 220 is the Republicans, and somewhere 212 is the 432. 212 is the Democrats. So there's a lot more seats, lot more results to come. 24 Republican governors and 22 Democratic governors. That again, is very much 4 more states to come. We'll see how the things go, but it's very much going like there's no flip as far as the governors is concerned. They're going like state-wise predictable lines: the red block and the blue block.
Sir, the Wisconsin race has tightened up since then. As you can see now, it is Kamala Harris 49.6% and Donald Trump 48.9% with 24% of the vote counted. And let's take a quick. So you want to say something about Wisconsin? Because see, this is rural, urban. There are lots of things you have to consider.
Yeah. I think that again, the broad trend that we have seen is rural votes and semi-urban votes have gone to President Trump, whereas the urban votes and some of the entrenched Democratic districts or some of the entrenched Republican districts in each of the states have gone on the predictable lines. Though Kamala Harris has won less votes compared to what Biden did in many of these across many of these districts and within many of the states. These are the initial numbers. We don't have the full data as yet, but these are the trend lines that one is seeing. There should be no surprise as far as the rural America is concerned, which is the agricultural farmland and where some of the heavy industries are located. And you find that most of them have gone, on predictable lines. It remains to be seen where you have large industrial houses, such as the state of Michigan, whether President Trump has been able to persuade the auto workers union in terms of saying, move forward. Just before we got into the elections, we had major strikes at Boeing, and there was a negotiation with Boeing. There's still a workers union strike going on in major ports, and those negotiations appear to be concluding, but we have not come to. There's no conclusion as yet as we moved into the election period. How these workers have voted also is an important piece of data that we'll be looking at as the results come out.
Thank you, Sridharji. Now, Pennsylvania, the race has tightened. With 34% of the votes counted, it's Kamala Harris 51.5% and Donald Trump 47.6%. So this is tightened. It was a much wider lead that Harris was enjoying. This has tightened. I wanted you to tell us about New Jersey. Sir, New Jersey was supposed to go red, and it is still pretty comfortably blue. Kamala Harris is 52.7%. and Donald Trump at 45.6% with 65% votes counted. Any thoughts on that, sir?
Well, I think that the New Jersey once upon a time, was at least governor leaning red. A lot of, what you call as the white collar workers, a lot of immigrants, and, it's a good chunk of population, a good amount of industry. Somehow there has been historical mismanagement by both Republicans and Democrats within the state. So they have stayed the course, and they want to be part of the blue belt. The blue belt includes, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, New York, and of course the adjacent New Jersey, and stretching further north towards Pennsylvania. So Pennsylvania flips between Democrats and Republicans, and last time it was on the federal side, on the national elections, it was Republican, it was Democrat, and the prior it was Democrat. So therefore, you have Democrat Republican switching on the Pennsylvania side, whereas New Jersey seems to have followed its fellow brothers in the East Coast, Sree, which is New York and Connecticut, and joining Rhode Island and Massachusetts to form in the East and Northeast belt the Blue Belt.
Sir, one small question, sir. I'm also hearing viewers. Now we are going to be covering some global events, because this Trump win here, or a possible win, heading towards a win, whatever you want to say, it is already reverberating across the world. We have some news from Israel, where Bibi Netanyahu, the prime minister, has fired his defense minister, and Sree Iyerji has the update on that. Sree Iyerji.
Well, I think that it's very important development. He said, the Gallant is fired. And there has also been some leaks on the plans, the Israeli plans, plans, plans in terms of the potential, what I call as a strategy in terms of tackling the issues that they're confronted with. One person has been named. There's apparently 4 people within the defense ministry. One person has been named, and 3 more people are likely to be named very soon. So there is no surprise that the defense minister has been fired based on the information that Netanyahu has picked up. Remember, there are 2 types of leaks. One that happened within, which is Israel. There were also leaks that delayed Israeli plans to attack Iran. That happened from within United States, either Department of Defense or Department of Security, wherever those leaks seem to have. And after the attacks occurred, Israel did acknowledge they had to delay the plans based on the leaks that has happened. So it doesn't happen in one country alone. You do have these types of events occurring in many parts. Should President Trump reach the White House, there will be very, very interesting developments in what we call as West Asia. Remember, West Asia peace accord between the UAE and Saudis and the Kuwait, etc. Israel was established or set up by President Trump, and there was some element of quietness. Remember that Soleimani attack that happened within Iraq, and Iran was quietened. And there's a lot of things that happened during his fading years of his presidency, which brought some semblance of normalcy. We will probably expect to see similar sort of events occurring should he get to the White House. This will also probably cascade its way into South China Sea. It will also cascade its way in terms of the trade policies between United States and China, and more troubled days ahead, as far as the US-China trade is concerned, if it is not already, going, downhill as we speak, Sree.
Thank you so much, Sree Iyerji. By the way, there was a needle of suspicion pointing towards an Iranian-American official in the Department of Defense. Her name was Ariane Tabatabai. And I had told you when I had done this thing as an extensive monologue, I had said that nobody is going to admit that this was indeed the leak. The way you know that this probably was, if she gets assigned to a post that is less important, or she is posted a place where she will not have the access to some critical information. That's exactly what happened a few days ago. So that tells you that that person also, perhaps somehow they have figured it out. I mean, all I can tell you is that this is one indication that perhaps there was a needle of suspicion there too. So these all tell you that Israel did in fact have to delay it because of the fact that some of the stuff had leaked. We are going to talk about Israel and also a more global effect, 360 degrees effect on geopolitics of the world in a little bit time, because we have some time. Sridharji, I'm going to just take us back to our big screen numbers so that we can see what are the new latest updates, and then we'll come back to some specific topics, sir.
Yeah. So two more topics, the topics which are of great passion to you. There will be some geopolitical or cross-border implications, because President Trump and Trudeau are not the best of the friends. Remember the truckers union, the truckers trying to march. So therefore, there would be a cascading impact on US Canada, and some of the stuff that is going on right now, all will be stalled, and he will be called to accountability. Some of the events taking place within United States at the encouragement which is happening from across the border will also see some repercussions and enforcement going in as far as nearshore, as far as those specific issues that are confronting the geopolitics today.
Thank you so much, sir. And here we go. So Ted Cruz looks like he's cruising along. We'll go back to that. We'll come up in again in a minute. Sir, Bernie Sanders is an interesting case. This guy is the leader of the progressives. He's like the mentor extraordinaire of all these people. His hand-picked chela was Ro Khanna, right? Because when he was putting together his presidential campaign, Ro Khanna was the one who was marshalling the troops. His hope was, if Bernie becomes the presidential candidate, he wins the nomination, I will be the vice. Anyway, that was the top talk of the town in those days. Now, the interesting thing is, he keeps winning, but I'm not so sure about his chelas, sir. Chelas and chelis.
Well, look, I think if you kind of step aside and objectively, whether you want to use the word objectively or whether you want to look at it from the constituent base that Bernie Sanders addresses, which is youth and young, and those who are, passionate and what you call has, what they believe is righteousness, etc. He appeals to those audiences with a narrative, which is namely socialism, equality, even distribution, concentration of power in one hands, unilateral use, all these kinds of issues that he kind of addresses and focuses on. It appeals. By the way, the youth, we didn't touch on this since this topic came up. The youth has overwhelmingly voted in favor of Harris, resonating with the policies that she has laid out. She has persuaded the youth. The youth, as in this elections, based on across the country data, the youth has been persuaded by her. So Bernie Sanders has a constituency which has such people. Whether geopolitically resonating is a question mark. Now, those who follow policies, similar policies, as you point out, his chelas or chelis, Sree, they take it to some, ultimate kind of extremism. And there's no surprise. Indiana goes to retains Indiana, Kentucky, etc. These are early elections which President Trump has, retained based on 2016 and 2020 outcomes. Getting back to Bernie Sanders and Ro Khanna. So Ro Khanna probably doesn't have a very similar type of a constituency, but yet he's a very persuasive speaker. He has enormous amount of access to resources. So he's been able to hold sway, but without going extreme left as some of the progressive chelas or chelis of Bernie Sanders, Sree.
Thank you so much, sir. Now we can see here that Ohio, Trump is actually widening the lead, which is very heartening to know, because I was concerned because he was trailing to start with. Sridharji?
Ohio, some of the other channels have already called it as President Trump, Sree. Have already called. AP has not called as yet. So he has won by more than, at least close to 10 percentage points, or somewhere between 8 and 10 percentage points. He has retained Ohio, Sree. Okay. This data is a little bit non-latent. North Carolina, Trump has seems to have regained lead, 52 to 47%. We discussed about some of the voting patterns. Pennsylvania is too close to call, even with 41%, 50, 49. Remember that, it's a big state. And last time, Biden won by about 80,000 plus votes. And in 2016, he won. Trump won. No, remember, this 80,000 votes is all you need is about 30 to 40,000 votes to flip to one side. Then it becomes a small margin, or it switches to the other side. So you need to look at that within that, within those parameters as well. So 80,000, because some of them who were otherwise, this is the middle vote, who sometimes vote one way, sometimes vote the other way.
Sir, he has come back to lead in Wisconsin, 50 to 49. I just wanted to tell you that, because that screen came and went by. Wisconsin, Trump is back in lead. So these are important swing states. Wisconsin is a swing state. Pennsylvania is a swing state, and Michigan is a swing state. We are not going to see the other ones like Arizona and Nevada, because that's still just finished polling probably, and maybe still open. So we'll have to wait a little bit longer before we get those trends. But as things stand now, Trump is looking, I would say, comfortable. Sree Iyerji, what do you say?
I think it goes back to, he has to win either Arizona, Georgia, and South Carolina. That is 16 plus 16 plus 32, 16 plus 15, 31 plus 11, 42. He has to win those 42 seats plus hold for him to get to the 270. Or he has to win, Nevada doesn't matter. He has to win Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. He has to win those three states for him to head towards to the White House. The same applies to Madam Harris, the Vice President Harris. Vice President Harris is going to hold on the three prime West Coast seats. Her numbers will jump by about 70, 75 seats once those numbers get added. But she has to win the three battleground states, and she has to also flip one other state, or she has to win one more battleground state, because she has lost. I think she's lost Virginia. We haven't seen those results pop up as yet. I think my belief is that she has lost Virginia. If she has lost Virginia, she has to now win 4 seats. Sreeji.
Thank you so much, Sridharji. I have another guest joining me now, Professor G. Ramesh, formerly of IIM Bangalore, Professor of Finance, and his thing is still coming up. As soon as his video comes up, I'll start adding, and we will get his input from an Indian perspective, what a Trump presidency will likely bring. Sridharji, you and I have talked in DGI, about 400 plus episodes. We talked about every little geopolitical thing. We were 6, 7, 8 months ahead of most of these things. Here we go. The Professor Ramesh has just come online. I'm going to bring him online, sir, with your permission.
Sure, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome to PGurus channel, Professor Ramesh. How are you?
Thank you, thank you. I think I need Sridhar's permission. It's really, I wanted to actually listen to him, not speak. Really wonderful.
Namaste, Ji. Namaste.
In fact, Sree, like the entire election thing, I've been, learn more from your channel. In fact, the debates and discussions are like that. So because what we need and then what we look for and like that, So that way, I'm sure you would have been feeding the Indian audience a lot.
Thank you, sir. And I'll just give you the gist of the story. Trump is leading, and we just said about what are the things that need to go towards for him. He needs to win in Wisconsin, where he's hanging on by a thin lead. He needs to have Pennsylvania go his way. There he is just within a hair's breadth. Georgia, he is winning. So that's one in the bag. And we are going to look at what's going to happen in Arizona, another swing state. We have to see if Michigan he can pull. Michigan is tight, but it's still Kamala Harris. So there are a few things like this. And I want your initial comment, Professor Ramesh, as to how you see the possible Trump presidency affect the whole world. By the way, Sridharji has in his back pocket some predictions for who's going to be what in the new Trump administration. He may tell it or he may not tell it. He has told me, but he told me to not open my mouth about it. He may do it or he may not do it. Over to you, Professor Ramesh, your opening comments.
I will have a question for Sridhar later after I answer you. My question to Sridhar is, the names that, people who have been supporting, they all look more like from business background, and then and let's say the corporate background. But probably he needs some politicians also on his side, people who can be really policy and political advisors like that. So I'd like to really hear from you, who are those prospects and how will it really look like? And because otherwise they'll be only, because they have to handle Ukraine also, they have to handle Israel also, not just the taxes and healthcare and things like that. Yeah. Yeah, Sree. Surprisingly, you'll be surprised to know. Okay, 10 years back, 20 years back, I don't think the interest about U.S. election in India might have been so much. Okay, maybe there's a Modi factor from India and Trump factor from US, which has made people really start looking at, okay, what's happening in US. And probably this is also driven by the happenings in Europe also. Okay, so people are really become keen on what's happening in US, because it also has got a great neighbor, Canada. So that will also have an implication for us. The US election, it's like this in horoscope. When you read, the astrologers will tell you, Sree, like Guru is sitting in Saturn and looking at Ketu. I don't know exactly, the way they say it. So it's something like Guru sitting in, US and will be looking at Canada, let's say. And so I want a favorable Guru there. Okay.
Very true, sir. Sridhar Chittala said that Trump and this guy Trudeau don't enjoy the best of relations. So Trudeau is in a lot of trouble. I don't know what's going to happen to Keir Starmer in UK. So Sridharji, question to you. I'm just going to get back to our numbers, because I think Wisconsin is going flip-flop. Let's just take a quick look at the numbers, Sridharji, and then we will come back to this.
Bernie Sanders, you keep propping up. He's your friend, Sriji, so he keeps coming up. So Bernie Sanders is one. So there's nothing much. Arizona, you can see this is Eli Crane in House. The House election. House election is just very narrow margin. 8 seats. It differentiates between Republicans and Democrats. I'll be very surprised if Republicans can hold on. 12 of the House representatives are contesting on Democratic ticket on Trump policies, not on Harris or Biden policies. Which is they're telling the voters, vote me because I'm your friend, but I'll be supporting these types of policies. This includes all this illegal and voter rights, and we have talked about this at length in terms of this gender changes and parental rights, etc. These are all issues which are particularly playing very heavily amongst women voters in conservative Democratic districts. Okay, because they don't support some of these extreme left policies of the Democratic Party, which is the reason why Kennedy left Democratic Party and aligned with former President Trump.
Yes, indeed, sir. And I'd be very curious to know what AOC does this time around. It may be a comfortable seat, but I'm just curious if the New Yorkers are furious with her or still okay to give her a break. I'm talking about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She's your neighbor, sir.
She is my neighbor. That district is completely flooded with immigrants, and it doesn't matter what she utters. She is going to be very comfortable. People don't, and she's very and people like this kind of what I call loose talk and not very palatable kind of language she uses in making her statements. We have completely, out of the 5 boroughs, at least 3 boroughs, we have completely ruined it, and that's reflected in what's happening in the boroughs of Manhattan. So therefore, all the left politicians, doesn't matter whether it is Elmar, whether it is AOC, or whether it is Rashida, they're all going to be, on the bandwagon. They're supported by their constituents. And we have seen that in the last 4 years. So therefore, I don't think you can expect much changes or nirvana from them, Sriji.
Thank you, sir. Well, viewers, the race is tightening a little bit in some places. I just got the numbers from Wisconsin now. And in Wisconsin, it is Donald Trump again in the lead, 50.4% to Kamala Harris at 48.1. See, now it is a 2.3% lead. That's a good lead. That's a good lead. Yes, indeed. Yeah. And I'm also going to take a look at Pennsylvania. These are all from Associated Press, sir. In Pennsylvania, it is Trump in the lead. Sir, Pennsylvania, Trump is in the lead. 50.5% to 48.6% for Kamala Harris. That's a 2% swing, sir. 2% lead now. 2%. That's a big lead.
Yes, it's the exact 2% which cost Trump last time. So we have to wait and see as the balance of the 50% of the votes come in, Sree. So I will hold my breath until such time we cross 90% of the votes. Nothing would be decided until then, Sree.
Sir, in Arizona, he's leading by 40 votes. I just did the math.
It is okay.
Trump is leading by 40 votes. 4-0.
So if I kind of move, if you are a Republican, you move the agenda from Pennsylvania. If you bring it back to 4 states, right? The 4 states are, if you win Arizona, right now, based on my kind of research and data that I'm getting from some of my people, that it is Republican leaning. Right now, Republican leaning. Okay, 11 seats in Arizona. And Georgia is 15. That is 26. Then you have South Carolina. That is 16. That's 42. So he needs not only these 42, but he also needs Wisconsin. So if you want to eliminate Pennsylvania and Michigan, then if you win those 4 states, then he has got the 270 number. Okay. So therefore, Nevada doesn't count. It's 6. So he has got, most important, he has got Vermont. If I'm Virginia, he's got Virginia. So he's got Virginia, his 5th Virginia, which is historically a Democratic kind of blue state. So to me, I will take the emotion out of Pennsylvania. I won't trust it until such time, we get that almost 95% of the votes are counted. But if he gets Arizona, if he gets Georgia, if he gets South Carolina, if he gets Wisconsin, then he's got the presidency.
Sir, very good point about how much percentage of vote. You wanted to weigh in something?
Can I ask Sree one question?
Sure,
please. What is there any dipstick indicator? Like I was telling last time when Indian elections are getting counted, I was saying that when let's say the Smriti Irani was losing, then I said, okay, UP is in bad shape. Like that.
Right.
In this election, is there any swing state that's really indicative in the west side? Or something else which can really, you can say, can show the indication for, let's say, the Republican?
Yes.
Something which was counterintuitive or reverse swing. What you call a reverse swing?
Right. Yeah. No, I think we have seen, for example, in North Carolina, we have also seen in Georgia, even in Atlanta, some of the counties. What we have seen is 25% of the African American men voters have not favored Democrats. That's a big swing that has gone in favor of President Trump. This is within the established counties. And also some of the entrenched, what we call as the centrist or centrist left Democrats, many of them on 3 factors. One is country is going in the wrong direction, number 1. Number 2, the illegals are more a problem for the Americans by way of jobs and economy. And 3, these are historically traditional allies of Israel that United States has not stood as much as possible as should be with Israel. So these people have swung. So 2 categories of voters have gone the opposite way, which is why you are seeing the leads, not only in leads increase in states like Florida, where there has been migration, but you're also seeing the flipping in states like North Carolina, Georgia, some of those counties. The counties which were, the Buck County, etc., we're still waiting for the results because there was bomb threat by the the Russians in some of this, and the elections, the voting times had to be extended. So we'll see some of these results a bit late. But the early results, this is where the swing has occurred.
So you are
Sir,
saying
I have
even
an
in Florida they were winning, which means it might show up on the West Coast also, isn't it?
No,
I mean, we all thought
West
that
Coast is done, sir.
it's a
West
different
Coast,
story. It's a
yeah, West
different
Coast
story.
is done. West
The
Coast is
man
done.
even hiding his face. I mean,
No, West Coast is liberal. West Coast is liberal. So there is no way that's going to swing. Even if they are moving busloads of people from all over the place. Especially my friend's state, California, loves all these types of people. From refugees and with their own kind of
why I
bandicoots.
asked, because my friends in US keep saying that. I mean, Ramesh, if you look at the leads, red will be leading, but blue will win. Okay.
No, I think this time it is.
Sorry,
it's a little decisive. Yeah, sir, I have an update. I have an update on Georgia, because Georgia we talked about. It's 88% counted, 82% counted. Trump is up by 4 percentage points, 51.9% to 47.4% for Kamala Harris. So this is one swing state that's going to give us an indication. Also, let's take a look at Pennsylvania. Trump is up by 2 points, 50.6% to 48.5% of Kamala Harris, 51% of the votes counted. Sir, this is drifting towards your magic number of 90%. I understand, because viewers, one thing that you need to remember, urban areas tend to be solidly Democratic and rural areas the exact opposite. But then how many people live in rural areas, right? Yeah. See, as you will see this splash of red across United States with a small pockets of blue in the middle, and then on the two edges will be solid blue. And I'm again hiding my face. I don't know what to do, but I live in this place. I do think that I am putting up a good fight.
We are actually going to do a show in about maybe next week or sometime when we have a window. You see, one of the economic consequences of this specific election, and economic consequence to United States, when you go back and look at 30 years of kind of data relative to where we are today. Today, market cap of United States is about $60 trillion. If you take 20% or close to 25% of the market cap, the 25% of the market cap is sitting in West Coast. Close to $16 trillion of market cap is sitting in the West Coast. There are close to 3,700 companies listed in the stock exchange making up the market cap. Historically, the economic growth has come as a result of two important factors: capital and productivity. We have no productivity gains, but we have more illegals contesting. So there's a very big economic challenge because of this skewness. And what this means doesn't matter whether it is Trump or whether it is Harris. And Harris is going to spell disaster. Trump, there's no money in the balance sheet to have his ambitious agenda. We'll cover this in about a week's time as we complete these elections. People have not factored or thought about this already. The 10-year rates are inching towards 5%. We are around 4.3% or 4.35%. That means the SME and middle market of United States and rest of the world, because everything is linked to the Fed's prime lending rate, has consequences in terms of capitalization and inflow of money into harnessing the industry. So some significant kind of changes which we'll cover on the economic side. We never touched on this, but economic consequences, and we also have some tax policy issues which either side, especially on the Harris side, has huge bearing. The question is, unfortunately, if I have to just put, if Xi Jinping was not the president of China, and if there was an economic czar as the president, it is lock, stock, and barrel world moving to China. Lock, stock, and barrel world moving to China. Okay, because everything, capital, capital formation, the policies, the robust industrial segment, productivity, and vast amount of consumptive capacity all would have helped. But because of his brinkmanship, he has inflicted more damage than he probably is softening a little bit, but it's a bit too late. Capital wants to move out of United States, but there's no venue. There's no venue for capital to go because the geopolitical factors are not in favor. I mean, everywhere we have trouble.
Sir, Arizona, just now I saw that it has again flipped to Kamala Harris. She's leading by about 16,000 votes. And so this is going to go back and forth. Like I said, rural versus, where what results come in, depending on which area, you're going to have some flips. But it comes back to that one county, sir, Maricopa County.
Correct, Arizona.
United States.
It could change. If the voting patterns are, see, Arizona is one of the states we covered extensively in DGI. Arizona is one of the states, along with Texas, which faced the maximum wrath of these illegal people moving in and occupying homes, occupying land, occupying territory, and potentially creating problems for the jobs. Kerry Lake fought that issue. Then the state has fought the issue, but the Supreme Court of the Arizona had very interesting things to say, and whether that will cascade its way in terms of many of the voters who are legally illegal or illegally legal, or who are illegal, what's the consequence, and what these both African American voters as well as the middle Democratic voters, what are they going to say? I just watched briefly in CNN, an altercation between CNN reporter and a Democratic voter, kind of telling, what the hell you have done to our state. We supported you, we flipped, etc., etc. So whether it all will cascade its way into changes in voting patterns, you will see. But there is deep frustration that has not been captured by the mainstream media. That's why in our curtain raiser, we said, do not listen to the polls, because it's all sample sizes and manipulated.
Sir, just an update. Georgia, the lead between the two candidates is about 3.3%, but Trump continues to maintain 2% lead over Kamala Harris in Pennsylvania with 54% counting. Sir, how significant is Virginia? Because there it is again flip-flopping, back and forth, back and forth.
Virginia is very significant because it's a historically a blue state. Okay, it's close to Washington, D.C. It's D.C., right? So it's very close. It is historically a Democratic state. It just is a warning signs for the Democratic Party that you have sacrificed the middle ground politics to the extreme left, and this is all these things we have covered again. All this flipping happened from the early manifestations of the Obama period. This is not something that happened in Biden. This happened during the Obama period, and I think that the Democratic Party is facing the consequences as a result. I mean, of course, people will say, 𝗣𝗬𝗿 is not a thing, but a shifting of Kennedy. I mean, Kennedy is historical, a Democratic czar. Kennedy moving to Republican is a telltale sign of what is confronting the Democratic Party.
Yes, indeed.
Professor Ramesh?
Yeah.
I have a hypothesis, Sridharji, if one side goes extreme, other side will automatically get pulled to the extreme of their stand. Okay, they cannot maintain the center because just to counter these people, they go to the extreme. So obviously, the Democrats got into a trap of going to the extreme, like what you're saying, left, thinking it's really countering the right.
Right.
And that's really undoing them, actually. And Arizona, what you're saying, not only there's immigrants, but there is also a flight of capital. So if you have both going, then obviously labor and investments will go down, and there'll be a problem of growth. And I'm sure that, but I want to really ask how much really the economic issues impacted vis-a-vis, let's say, probably the personality factors or or even the other issues like migrants issue, and security and things like that?
Economics within the context of jobs was one of
Yeah.
the four big factors in terms of playing in the minds of the people. So the consequences of illegals and whether they are a threat to the jobs is something that is playing very heavily in the voters' mind, that is getting translated into some of the shifts that you're seeing. In this election, we can see that. Relative to, let's say, 2016 or 2020. 2016 and 2020 played out in a very different manner. So therefore, in this, it is a vital factor. Another factor that people don't cover within the small business, or SME we call in United States, and the middle market, they basically represent 55% of the GDP of United States. It is the largest employer, and the way the Democrats treated them as they are nothing more than an extension of, personal, that means individuals, has kind of, to a great extent, destabilized the industry and destabilized that voter base, which has historically been a traditional, Republican supporters. But they are also feeling the pinch because of a lot of these illegals and the threat to the businesses. There's because of law and order issue. Many of these shops cannot defend themselves because of the crime. I don't know whether you have tracked it, that we have had in the last 4 years this defund police movement. We have also had issues around, if you rob anything less than $1,000, the police will not even register the case. Case.
Yes, I've been tracking it.
All businesses have been adversely impacted. And this is, again, we call it as an economic consequence as a result of the crime creeping into the system.
Yeah.
Sridharji, just an update quickly, and we can go back to Professor Ramesh after that. Wisconsin update, 49% of the votes counted. Donald Trump, 49.7%, and Kamala Harris, 48.8%. So it's about 1% lead that Donald Trump has. This is indeed amazing, sir, because Michigan is still solid blue, and Minnesota is also, sir, Minnesota, huge surprise, 58.5% for Trump. This is the land of Ilhan Omar. We forgot that this is the land of milk and honey.
Yes.
Then he should thank her for the consolidation, probably.
Probably, but this is only 3% of the votes counted, just 3% of the vote counted. It's a little early to say. Donald Trump, 58.5%, and Kamala Harris, 38.1%. But again, like I said, this is only 3% of the votes counted. So we will be looking at Minnesota also. I was just looking at the big map to see where blue, where red, where, gray. And then suddenly this thing started turning gray. Minnesota, that's a very, very big surprise. And back to you, Rameshji, you had a question of Sridharji, so we can continue that conversation.
So I was talking about basically, he said the labor, the economic issues and like that. But increasingly, I felt, the previous elections, maybe some 3-4 elections before and all, you'll have the healthcare issues, insurance issues, and, investment taxes and things like that. But I find that probably, is this more personalized? Moving away from all the economics and then other issues, talking more about the migrants and then illegal, and then some of the issues that you mentioned, security and all that.
Well, what are the top 4 issues? Top 4 issues. 70% of the Americans, however much you want to calibrate, the country is going in the wrong direction. Is the number one. Democrats or Republicans, doesn't matter. Across 70% of the people, we are going in the wrong direction. Number 1. Number 2, our borders are porous, and we have to fix the borders. Number 2. Number 3, we don't see an uptick in the economy because our jobs are under threat. The reasons are many illegals, for the sake of securing voting rights, were given temporary work permits. Work permits were given. Okay. So they come mainstream and they can kind of subsidize and take out existing jobs. Number 3. Number 4 issue that is in their minds is around their own societal kind of protection, which is schools, education, parental rights, etc. So these, and then comes fifth, which is geopolitics and Israel. These are 5 issues which is in their minds. Healthcare and all those things seems to have receded to the backside. From a prioritization point of view, when they see these major issues. We have got about close to 6 million people who have come in the last 4 years. That's a huge number, huge number. Crime within the society is, they have not even gone to that, because that goes into 5th or 6th, but the crime within the society is also a very big issue. But if you have to put what are the top 4 issues, we are going in the wrong direction. We have porous borders, our jobs are under threat, and we have destabilization of the society. This is what doesn't matter whether it is middle, independent, unless you are extreme left, middle, independent, Republican, Democrat, it doesn't matter. But this is the core of the problem.
And I have an update for Arizona. Trump is back in lead. He has actually erased 16,000. He has erased a deficit of 16,000, and he's up by 4,200 seats now. 4,200 votes now. Trump is up 49.7%. Kamala Harris 49.5%. 49% of the votes counted in Arizona. Sridharji, is this going to go down to the wire like the last time?
So, like everybody calls, this is PGurus calling. Arizona is going to President Trump. Arizona is going to President Trump. Okay. At the end, we'll see the numbers, but Arizona will go to President Trump.
How many seats is that? Arizona?
11.
Arizona has 11 electoral seats. Sridharji has everything on his fingertips. Ask him the state and he'll give you the number.
So Arizona is 11. So therefore, I think Arizona is going to President Trump. Georgia is going to President Trump. I can reasonably predict those two and call. So 26 seats is going to him. If the trend continues, I can also call North Carolina going to President Trump. So 42
yes,
seats.
Indeed. Yeah. Those are all there. Virginia is still too close to call. Right now, 69% votes counted. Kamala Harris, 49.3%. And Donald Trump, get this, 49.1%. Hardly a small, very, very tight margin. This is going back and forth, back and forth. You have to wait and see. I have a feeling Virginia also, sir, sometimes what happens, Sridharji, is if there is a trend established in one direction, even the close races tend to go towards the trend. The trend was established at 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock today Eastern Standard Time when Florida gave in their initial report. Sridharji, I don't know if you saw the tweet of mine or not. Florida, 48% Trump, 24% Kamala Harris, and another 24% none of the above. Like nota, equivalent of that. There's another equivalent word in US. And of course, that came down afterwards, but that was like a big surprise for everybody. Oh my goodness, this is like, Kamala Harris is losing by a mile. She since then bridged some of that gap in Florida, but Florida ended up being a decisive win for Trump. And if you look at it from the bottom, from the south, east coast, from the south, if you work your way up, Florida is red, Alabama is red, Mississippi is red, Louisiana is red, Texas is red, Oklahoma is red, Arkansas is red, Tennessee is red, Georgia going red, South Carolina going red, North Carolina, let me see how it is now.
Sree, I'm going to WhatsApp a picture. I think you should put that picture up. Just give me 30 seconds. I'll
go ahead, sir. Go ahead. So, Rameshji, one thing that we should be talking about with Sridharji is what is the kind of hole that the United States has dug itself into. I have been talking about this, but rather than a layperson who likes economics talk about this, I'd like an economics professor. I mean, you're a finance professor, but you understand economics. He's a banker. He understands numbers. You two can discuss what needs to be done. I have some ideas. Again, it's better that, I could be monologuing a lot. Viewers might want to listen to you and Sridharji about this. So as Sridharji is getting ready to bring me a picture that I'm going to show, viewers, your like count, you can do a little bit more on liking this video. We are kind of stuck at 2,300 viewers. I came up quickly in the first 20 minutes and then now we are kind of stagnating. and I looked at the like count. Only 1 in 2 of you have liked this video. May I please request all of you to like this video? There is a lot of work that has gone in here. It wasn't easy to bring these things the way I'm able to do it now, and I'm doing both the hosting as well as the back-end management today. So just help me out here. Just give me a few more likes, and that would really help our cause. So,
Yeah.
Professor Ramesh, did you know that Elon Musk has practically moved all his companies from California to Texas?
Yeah, I was having that in my mind when you were speaking, actually. Yeah, when I was saying that, no, flight of capital within US, let's say.
Yes, within US. Yeah. California is unlivable, and San Francisco is one of the worst cities to live. This used to be the city. If somebody said the city in California, that meant they were referring to San Francisco, and it is the uncity, if you will. It's become such a mess right now, and Twitter quietly, closed down all, and they moved everything lock, stock, and barrel to Texas. I'm not so sure about. There is one other company that Elon Musk had in the south. It's called Hyperloop. What Hyperloop is to try and move people at faster than sound speed by having underground tube-like train structure. I don't know what happened to that. He has not talked about it much. So that's the only one. I think that he cannot move, because I think he has laid the ground lines in LA. We have to see what happens there. So clearly now I have a gut feeling that this is going to go Republican way. Just from the the trend seems to be fairly consistent. I don't see any wild swings yet. So I think it is going to go that way. Sridharji, do you have the?
I just sent. 270 to win. I've taken from that site, and I've sent you the map because you can see the map. And I'm going to you can put up, because it's very interesting when you put up that map. You will it's easy for people to understand in terms of how the country is evolving. Okay, how the country is evolving.
So, Professor Ramesh, you wanted to say something. I'm sorry if I cut you off.
So, like on a lighter vein, in India, we are used to freebies, but even here, you cannot walk into any store and then walk out, okay, without paying like that. Okay, this is, I don't know what you call it. free economics or something. I don't know what you call it. Okay, this is really, the extra right of it. But I have, in fact, the hypothesis I have is that California is going that way, that is actually creating sort of an immunity in the other states. So other states are observing what's happening in California, and they will become more and more careful that they don't want it this way in their own states, isn't it? I'm sure they'll become more careful, seeing if you carry it to extreme, what happens in California and what happens to your economics and like that, And so it's becoming a laboratory for the, the free economics, free economics or like that. And then free migration, isn't it? And then open border and like that. It has become.
Thank you so much. I'm going to drop out for just one moment, and I'll come back. You two can converse. So, Sridharji, your comments on California. You lived in California.
And where is that figure? WhatsApp image is coming up, or
it's coming up. It's
coming up.
Okay. So I think the California has historically been a very, very liberal state. It has it's the first state which harmonized everything. It's very difficult to change, because it's in the DNA, the general DNA of the people, in terms of being socially liberal and left and accommodative. That has cascaded also itself into the industrial sector that has evolved and developed in, and most of it is tech driven. Okay, the manufacturing industries, Boeing used to be in California, is not there. Most of the manufacturing industries, barring biotech, have all moving out. Semiconductor industries are not. Many of them have also left or shut down, and quite a few of them are now moving to places like Arizona, Texas, etc. So where are the latest TSMC plants and the Intel plants? They are in Arizona and in Texas. And where is Tesla going to have its factory? It's going to be in Florida. So the industrialization or the next generation, or in manufacturing 4.0, as we call it, is not happening in California. What's happening is a lot of headquartered technology companies with headquarters located, listed in NASDAQ, but geographically dispersed. There's also recalibration of the industry taking place. If productivity gain is being achieved by Google, if productivity gain is being achieved by Apple, if productivity gain is being achieved, let us say, to some Microsoft, that means 15 to 20% of their workforce or 25% of their workforce have now moved to India. So when you balance the labor, okay, so the cost benefit is coming from increased output in India and better cost optimization in the balance sheet, but not necessarily productivity gain occurring as a result of job creation within United States. This structural change in the glory of politics has been forgotten. India is benefiting and United States is losing.
But that has a multiplier effect also, employment multiplier and investment multiplier. Reason being that for one, every employee you move here, there may be other employment dependent on them. Okay, and also the investments like real estates or transport, communications, all those get affected. Okay, so maybe it's like spiraling down. I mean, ideally, it may happen. I mean, if the trend continues.
It's happening,
spiraling
sir.
to other sectors. Spiraling to other sectors.
It's happening, sir. It's happening. That is why there's a concern that in United States, in the last 16 years, almost from 2008, post-global GFC, we have not achieved productivity gains. Historically, we achieved 2 to 4% productivity gain, at least on an annualized basis. We have not seen any productivity gains in the last 16 years. But in this world of what I call the extreme policies on either side, we have forgotten what has actually driven America, which is capital and productivity, and translating into economic outcome. And also this concentration of market cap in very small segment of the industries is also creating a very big social.
So when you start losing competitiveness on productivity and cost advantage, then you start operating on the taxes. So that's where the Trump also keeps talking about the tax policies and like that, because earlier that threat was not there. They had a clear productivity advantage of scale and that. Once you lose that advantage, the only maneuver you have is with the taxes. And then put a duty and then make it uneconomical and things like that.
So your wish has been fulfilled, sir. It is very, very close now for Trump. Talk to this map, sir. This is amazing.
Okay. So based on the numbers that I'm seeing, right now Trump is at 242 and Harris is at 108. But again, 108 is misleading. At 54 plus 862 plus 1274. So I would say 242 to 184. That means the 3 Western states. I would give it to them. Idaho probably will flip. We'll see. We'll see where Idaho goes. So this map, if you take a look at this specific map, if you take from what I call as Montana from west, you begin to move towards the east. Okay, there's a central blocks. If you take Illinois, all Illinois and Virginia. So if you take Illinois and Virginia, Sree, if you win, you can. If you take Illinois and Virginia, and if Republicans get, and then all they need to get is Arizona, and they have to flip New Mexico. Then you have a very clear red map of United States, very clear red map of United States with a set of consistent policies and framework from all of Midwest going down south and going to some extent to the east, but the Northeast block and the West Coast block will be the deep blue states. Okay.
So 28, where will it come from now? 28?
I mean, I called Arizona to go to
Arizona,
President.
yes. I mean,
Yeah, so if you take Arizona, so it's 253. So which means he has to get 17. He has to win
okay.
Wisconsin, and he
Yeah.
has to win Wisconsin, or he has to win Pennsylvania. If he wins Pennsylvania, he gets with Arizona. I mean, Arizona. I've called Arizona to Georgia. So see, Sree, I called Georgia, right? So Georgia, I called for PGurus. So Georgia is already showing red. Okay, some of these channels are lagging behind. So Georgia is going to flip to back to the Republicans. Okay, so the South, the strength of the South and Central has gone back to the red states, and those who were flipping have gone and said, no, we're no longer going to flip. What is the threat in the rural land? The threat in the rural land, which we have covered in some of our DGI programs, is that there is an attempt which happened in Arizona. Is these illegals to occupy parts of the agricultural land and claim that it is theirs? And there will be federal policies which will justify just as less than $1,000. Hey, you're one man or a two-man farmer. Why do you need 50 acres? You give 10 acres to this guy.
Sridhar, you remind me of Tanjore for me. We faced it. Isn't it, Sree Iyer? Sree?
Yes, yes, yes. So
In 70
just a quick update on those two.
Huh?
Quick update on a couple of things. Pennsylvania, 61% votes counted. Donald Trump, 50.8%, and Kamala Harris, 48.2%. So the lead has slightly increased. From 2%, it has gone up to 2.6% in Pennsylvania. So clearly there he is able to hold his lead. Sir, you can add that as one particular thing here, because that is still undecided. So 242 plus Pennsylvania number of seats is 19. That brings it to 261.
Arizona, I have already called Sree, okay, to Trump. Let me see whether I'm wrong. So if you add Pennsylvania and Arizona, then it is President Trump in power. Okay.
Sir, I also have an update on Wisconsin. It is 50% for Trump and 48.6% for Kamala Harris. And it's, just give me 1 second. It number of percentage of votes counted is, this is going back and forth, 56%, 56. So there's still some distance to go. And actual count votes is 25,000, 26,000, thereabouts is the vote difference. So it depends upon which county, rural, urban, how things are, we don't know. But Wisconsin also could go Trump's way. So Sridharji, 242 plus Wisconsin, Arizona, and Pennsylvania. What does that number come to, sir? We just want to try and see.
That number comes to 41. 41.
So 283.
Yeah.
283. Good.
Yeah. So because we have to remember that the West Coast is a goner as far as the Republicans are concerned. And
it's like BJP, like you don't contest certain seats at all. It's like you have to, 540 less these seats, and then that's where you stand a chance. I mean, like
actually, Trump came and campaigned in California. He did come and campaign too. It's not like he just gave up completely. So that's good. He was still persistent.
Republicans had hope when Ronald Reagan was the president, and there's still Ronald Reagan Library very prominent in Los Angeles. That was long time ago. So so I think that I'm not prepared to call Pennsylvania, but I think that I'm reasonably certain that Arizona is my call is Trump, and then as far as Wisconsin is concerned, I can say with some kind of reservation that will also go to President Trump. Okay, the reason why Minnesota, which is historically a Democratic state, has become a toss-up state is because what some of the people from the House and the Senate have done to the state of Minnesota. Minnesota is in, Minnesota has ghettos. Minnesota has law and order problem. Minnesota has got a number of other kinds of challenges in terms of racial tensions. If the African American voters, as they have done in other states, switch their allegiance, very much possible that Minnesota could flip. Minnesota.
Sridharji, Arizona, the lead is 3,000 votes for Trump, 0.3%. And Minnesota, 9% votes counted. Donald Trump, 61.8%. And Kamala Harris, 35.9%. Minneapolis is the place that I would look for. If Trump can survive the Minneapolis surge, all the Somalis are practically packed there. Ilhan Omar country. And that's, sir, you wanted to say something? You're saying something.
No, I'm just saying that's the ghetto. You know, the ghettos,
yes.
The ghettos. So, I remember when there was this big communal flare-up. Yes, and the big communal flare-up happened. And, certain areas the police couldn't kind of enter, very similar to Seattle area, right? So the story is that they couldn't enter. And then the post-consequences of that, there is resentment among some of the Black community, okay? So if, as has been observed in other parts of the country, continues in Minnesota will flip, because there's tensions between the African Americans have a historical kind of association with the country. Most of these migrants who have come in are very recent, and so there's natural tensions that are brewing as a result of. And there's also possible that one crime can be mistaken for one identity, can be mistaken for other identity. So these kinds of things is playing up, which is why what is a strong democratic should be a democratic state is now a toss-up state. So, and these are the communities to which Trump has kind of appealed. One big change, 2020 to 2024. 2020, Trump sat back as the elections kind of progressed. 2020, he didn't ask his Republican constituents to come and vote early. Close to 40 to 45% of the voting, 48% of the voting took place before the election day. So a vast number of them were Republicans. And of course, there's always Democrats who vote early or mail-in ballots. So therefore, this is one big change that has happened in the Republican strategy. The second, he himself, rather than leaving it to the party, has been appealing through radio and other stations, watching on the television, not for people to leave the queues, but to stay in lines and vote. Even in Georgia, he said, yes, the voting time has been extended. There's been a bomb threat, but by Jove, you stay in line and vote. This is a very big shift in the Republican strategy, what they learned from 2020.
Sir, another update. Virginia, interestingly, now Trump is falling behind by 1.6% of the vote. It's 73% vote counted. He's down by about 6,000 votes. Still not insurmountable. So Virginia
is already called, sir. 12 seats going to go. It's not flipping. It's going to the Democrats. 12 seats are going to Democrats.
Okay. And let me see what happened in Arizona. Arizona is 50% of the vote counted. That's still the old one. I haven't updated it yet. Now, one other update on the number of House seats. Interesting, Sridharji, you'll like this. 96 for Democrats and 148 for Republicans. 96 to 148.
Yes. Washington, Oregon, and California is not called, sir.
Suddenly it will be like 200 to 148.
Exactly. It'll be the margin will get narrow very fast. It's just like a flip of the coin. Okay, what's the time? The time is what's the time? The time
in about 6 minutes.
In 5 minutes. In about 5 minutes. These states will prop up, Sree. These states,
yes.
in about 6 minutes, these states will pop up. So see the numbers come up. So I think that if if Arizona and South Carolina goes, no, North Carolina is called. North Carolina is going to 16 seats is going to the Republicans. So therefore,
yes,
Carolina, South Carolina. So the objective of this map, Sree, is you are communicating red and blue. You can very clearly see the way the country is partitioned itself into red and blue. If, for example, if they can flip, if the Republicans can flip, there's no way they're going to flip Colorado, because thanks to the generous Californians who have migrated from California into Colorado, they have flipped it from red to blue. There's no way we can change course.
Sir, what is this, sir? Everything is Californians' fault. California is Californians' fault. Colorado is Californians' fault.
No, you are painting blue. Blue is future. Okay, red is danger. So therefore, you are generously sending your your blue future into Colorado. People are really kind of. It used to be historically a deeply conservative red state. Now it is a blue state. But if you take Colorado and New Mexico, if you flip, then you have only 5 states on the left in blue, and probably Northeast. Rest of the country is rest of the country will and then probably Midwest, right? Midwest, or we call Midwest. It's not really Midwest. It is Central. It's north, up north. New Mexico. Sorry, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan. And if they all turn blue, then you have blue in the top, and then you have the Northeast, and then you have the West. Rest of it is all red. It'll create a very interesting kind of. It probably opens the door for a very interesting kind of the federal structure, and that would be the next item that will be taken up in terms of everything, Sree, from state rights to farm rights to election rights to illegals, etc. So therefore, it'll be very, very.
It's like economic division also. It's like an economic division also that way. If you see the Northeast on that side, and then California on this side, and if I take your MCAP example, and the MCAPs are all coming from these places. If you really ask me,
Sridharji, I'm going to go and look at some things for the latest update, and while I do that, I wanted to plant one question in your mind, sir. See, the first thing, or one of the first things that Biden did was to stop shale fracking and all that stuff, saying that he had his environment czar or green czar, climate czar, whatever his name was, a clown called John Kerry, I think. And then that completely came ground to a halt. Oil prices became uncontrollable. US used to be the safety valve. It could always produce more. In fact, was a net crude exporter under Trump. And do you think the first thing he would do is to come back and reopen these shale refineries? And in that case, how do you see, would that be able to give him another lever to control inflation? That's the question for you, sir, and I'll be right back.
The answer to that question is that all leases will be renewed. All leases will be renewed. Number one. Number two, that they will try and work to bringing the gas prices to somewhere close to $50 a barrel. From $70 a barrel, they will try to bring it to about $50 a barrel. It opens up a new vista, which happened during the Trump period, whether Trump will ask Modi to renegotiate and buy oil at $50 from India and use the naval frigates to ferry those oil at the same cost. Whether he will also allow the two big boys the refining capacity to export. That's the only way he can kind of thwart some of the issues that is taking place. Sree, I also need a 1 minute kind of a break.
Go ahead, sir. I just clarify one thing. You meant, I think, $50 from the United States and using frigates to transport the oil, and that's what you said. I think it came out as India. India can't be buying at $50 from India. And the two big oil refiners are Ambani and Essar. Is that what you meant?
Yeah. So I
or
think
ONGC?
that, yeah, I don't know the names, but the two big, one is ONGC. I think also Reliance does a fair
Reliance
amount
is the other one. Yeah, Reliance Petroleum. Yeah.
Reliance. I meant Reliance and Ambani. He has a very good relationship with Trump. I don't know about Adani, but Ambani has a very good relationship with President Trump. In fact, actually, if you recall, in the closing periods of the 2020 as a presidency, he actually invited Ambani to come and set up 5G capabilities and R&D in United States, so that those capabilities can be developed within United States. So I think that you will why I'm answering the question this way: the balance sheet of United States cannot be fixed by reducing, and I'm speaking here as a banker rather than an economist. We have a fixed cost of $4.2 trillion on the balance sheet, okay, on the expenses side. Okay, $1.2 trillion interest cost, $1.5 trillion Social Security, $1 trillion or $1.2 trillion is Medicare. Defense is $800 billion. You add the numbers, it's about $4.3 trillion. And then you add other things, we are quickly into $6.3 trillion in terms of the expenses side. The receipts, we are around $4 trillion. Okay, predominantly two: personal taxes and corporate taxes. Corporate taxes, we went to 28%. 28%, we are on the bottom quartile of the world. So there's not going to be many people investing capital in the United States at 28% corporate tax. Okay, so how does he reduce? People keep speaking. This is where I disagree. You cannot fix the balance sheet by reducing the debt. And there's no mechanism to go from $35 trillion to $25 trillion unless you sell vast pools of national assets. Okay, so the only way he has to do is to figure out how he treats this $1.13, $1.2 trillion without changing the interest rates. He had interest rates as a tool in the last period of his presidency. He no longer has. At that point of time, we worked with the Treasury Department in terms of how to do it, and we brought the cost to 1.3% of GDP. But we can't do that now. So he has to come up with an off-balance sheet method by which he covers the cost. So he has to think differently in terms of how he wants to, without working on interest rates, without working on many things that's going to again cost, add to our debt. So this is a big challenge that he faces should he become.
Thank you, sir. You can take the 1 minute.
As far as Madam Harris is concerned, she will add another $5 trillion over the next 4 years. It doesn't matter to her.
Yeah, so you can take a 1 minute break, sir. We'll come back to you. You can rejoin us once you're back. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Ramesh ji, one question for you. See, in one of his speeches, Trump mentioned that he might make personal income taxes go away. That's 45% of the income for the United States government. Bearers, waiters, anybody makes anything, even students, if they are on a scholarship, and that is counted as income, except in some cases it is not. It depends upon whether you're a teaching assistant or a research assistant. A teaching assistant has to pay taxes. A research assistant does not have to pay taxes. Very cruel. So when you have some things like this, if Trump wants to forego personal income tax, where do you think he's going to get that 45% of the money that the government's going to get?
Yeah, it is going to be a problem. One thing is, even if you take the corporate tax, okay, many of them may not be located in US. Okay,
yes. Tax inversion, big time. These guys have inverted tax in a big way. Yes.
Correct. So one, they have to look at that, what's happening. What he might do is he may do certain reforms like the discrepancies you are pointing it out. Okay. So they may not be able to exactly do away with. But I'm hoping like it also depends on the thinking of people like Elon Musk, how they may influence him and like that. Okay, and so maybe then what will happen? The indirect taxes have to go up. You have to ultimately raise the revenue. You cannot take a cut on the revenue because they are not talking about the size of the budget, size of the government, like one would say. Like of course Vivek Ramaswamy is saying that we have to prune the size of the government. Okay, but still many of these won't go, whether it is defense or healthcare and some of these issues. So that way, I think I am expecting certain reforms, and they may do something about the corporate tax. But doing away with personal income tax, I don't know. I mean, it's a tall call, and then if you'll be able to implement in a 4-year time period.
Thank you, sir. I'm just looking at some races. Minnesota continues to be interesting. It's 12% of the votes counted, and Trump is at 60.6% to 37.2% for Kamala. 90,000 vote lead. That's a big lead.
No, I think this is quite indicative. I mean, it cannot flip very badly.
Yeah, Minnesota looks a little comfortable for Trump, but if that happens, that is a big change. Wisconsin, again, he is able to keep 2.3% lead now, 61% of the votes counted. Trump has 50.5% lead, and Kamala Harris has 48%.
Yes, the lead is less, but counting is a lot. Okay, the share of percentage of counting, so it might maintain. I mean, that's what I'm hoping.
Yes, and
Michigan.
In Pennsylvania, 70% of the votes counted. Donald Trump 51.3%. Kamala Harris 47.8%. He now has a lead of 25,000 votes. 25,000 votes. That's a comfortable lead for Trump.
More. I mean, it's 2.5 million and 2.3 million.
Yeah. So it's 20,000 votes. So let's see what is happening in Virginia. Virginia is still holding out for Kamala Harris, 50% of the vote, and 48.3% for Donald Trump, 75% of the votes counted. Georgia, 88% of the votes counted. Trump 51.1%, Kamala Harris 48.2%.
That's a good chance. Now it's 90%. It's Georgia. I mean,
yes, close to 90% in Georgia, and many have actually called it for Republican Georgia for Republicans. So the number, like Sridharji, you're back. 1 second, I'm going to bring Sridharji back.
Yeah. So Georgia is Republican. Georgia is Trump. Arizona is Trump. Virginia is
Arizona is Trump.
Georgia is Trump. Virginia, Arizona will be Trump. Virginia is Democrat. No, Virginia is Harris. Right now, the seat count is somewhere between the 193. You remember the West Coast states? All three came in.
Yeah.
California, Oregon, and Washington State. So Harris is now 193 with those states coming in. Okay. Clean sweep, Sree. Thank you. Well done. Clean sweep.
Sir, I am the lone resistor, sir. Even if I go into my own 800 families that are in my neighborhood, many of them of Indian origin, I don't think Trump can win even right here.
No. I think the sad or the unfortunate truth which people can't reconcile is the most kind of intellectual community still lives in, which occupies very, very senior jobs. Just one moment. Sorry, just one moment.
Yeah. While he is off for to take care of something, I just wanted to give you some updates. California, I'd be curious to know whether the percentage of vote has changed, whether the needle has changed. We don't have the numbers yet. Sridharji, back to you. You're saying something. Go ahead, sir.
No, I just was saying that they firmly believe, notwithstanding the fact that the policies are wrong, when you take a look at, go back, Starbucks, Amazon, Microsoft, Seattle Coffee Company, right on the top. Then some of the media companies in Washington. Then you go down. you have Nike, Intel, and so on in Oregon. Okay, then you come to California. I mean, you to everybody. Okay, from Adobe to PayPal to Microsoft. I mean, sorry, to Alphabet, Apple, so on. You take a look at this, and you look at the people who are in senior roles and senior jobs in these states, in these companies, and vast number of them believe in these policies. Now, 3 states, if you remember, we covered in DGI, 3 states, corporate, which went woke at that point of time: Georgia, Florida, and New York, New Jersey. You remember that we shifted the games, Georgia, the baseball game.
Right.
Okay, we shifted the football. All those 3 states have turned red. You remember the woke policies that Disney introduced? Okay,
right.
Rejected in these states where there seems to be some semblance. But then you go to the West Coast, nothing matters to them. Nothing matters to them. They somehow believe that what is wrong is right. Okay, which is the state which is now talking about a reparation bill of paying out $1 million to $1.5 million per family, and they're saying per individual. California.
Sir, in California, there is a belief that money grows on trees, sir, especially on the money plant.
Well, they have a reason to justify that position, because some of the valuations of these companies probably reflect that the money grows in trees, Sree.
Tell me this, sir. When are people going to realize that the price to earnings ratio is in the outer orbit now, for especially the Magnificent 7 companies and things like that? I don't understand how long are they going to stay up at those stratospheric levels.
I'll give you. I don't know whether you listened. If you didn't, probably you have to go back. Alcorp, Palantir went up 23% in one day. Yeah. Alcorp saying my company is going up 23%. I'm so happy that for the world to accept and recognize, I'm going to drive the productivity of the world. Okay, I don't know how Palantir can drive product. Yes, it's a robust platform. And how can you drive the? But this is the types of statements that come from that part of the world. I mean, I don't want to go into capital markets. We're just discovering elections here. So therefore, but we somewhere this euphemer has to come down and get down to the reality of organic growth of businesses and revenues and kind of sustainable kind of economic model, which translates into jobs and revenues and productivity and profits. We are not there. We are far from it on the economic side, and we are far from it on the absolutely crappy politics that is prevalent in the oldest democracy as well as in the largest democracy in the world, the 2 democracies. Everything is rumbling and tumbling unfortunately in these 2 nations.
Maybe, I mean, like last 20 years, if you see, sir, I mean, like if you look at California, I mean, if you take San Jose and all those places, their wealth actually helped for the state to sustain. Okay, now if that moves away or that impact comes down and it gets, like I said, investment moves away and like that, then Californian state and people may not be able to no longer support the sort of welfare system that they talk about. Maybe that point will come soon. And also, if you're not able to support the budget also, so that will be probably the day of reckoning. Is that possible?
Yes, sometimes these things take about 10 to 15 years for those things to cascade its way into the system. The reason is, this is the sad part of capital formation is not happening within the state. Capital formation is happening outside the state. Okay. The benefits are happening in the state, and the tax benefit is derived there. So the capital formation is happening across the country, but the taxing is happening within the state. So the benefits are flowing to these guys. okay, in the state. Sorry, Sree. Yes, election
So you
outcome.
just need to have a
Sridhar
head of
ji,
your, huh?
Sridhar ji, hang on to your seats. Michigan, major upset, major upset. 30% of votes counted. Donald Trump up by 5 points, 51.6%. I am just taking my breath here. Michigan is 30% votes counted, 51.7% for Donald Trump and 46.6% for Kamala. 5% lead in Michigan. Michigan, I'm like, goosebumps, sir. This was supposed to be solid blue wall.
And
2016, he broke it down.
No, the Michigan, what
reporting,
yeah. Michigan, what happened? Michigan, two things have happened. I mean, now you're seeing the results. You can't linearly predict this, but Michigan, Trump spent a fair amount of time appealing to two classes. One is to the auto workers, which is a significant part of, Michigan union, saying that the policies that you have seen since 2008 has not yielded the results when you sit in 2024. So think differently as to what you need to do. Remember, your industry is being shifted to China. So how do you want to work with me to bring more workers here rather than the migration happening to the other parts of the world? Especially EV means displacement in Michigan. So he's made these observations to the Michigan workers. It's number one. Number two, the very big community is the Arab American community in Michigan. He has appealed to them and said, okay, you continue. 4 years you have had. What have you seen in Gaza, Lebanon, Palestine, Jordan, and Syria? What have you seen? What have you seen in Iraq? Have you seen the kind of benefits? At least there was some semblance of normalcy and people could conduct normal lives. Have you seen in the last 12 months? So this is what he seems to have appealed to the American Arab community. And people are, so I'm not going to take the type of policies, but I'm willing to work. This is what the ground level reports that are coming. Whether it translates into outcomes, we will see. But if there is a change, that means that has resonated, Sree.
Thank you, sir. And I have another update. Sridharji, you had posted 2 bitmaps. I'm getting the other bitmap up now, so you can talk to that. But before that, I want to give an update on Wisconsin. Now, Trump has about 3% lead. 3% lead in Wisconsin also.
How many votes?
So,
how many
so it is 65% of the votes counted. Trump has 1,108,898 and Kamala has 1,047,699. It's about 6,000 votes difference, sir. But in terms of percentage, it is a good 3%.
Yeah,
but Arizona is not doing well. Arizona is close. I mean, if you
it's still close. But again, sir, Arizona, I told you, right? Maricopa County is in a world of its own. That's where the maximum amount of questionable stuff happens. If you can break through that, then it's easy sailing after that. Maricopa County is the one place. That is the Tri-City. Arizona, Phoenix, Tempe, and I think Scottsdale, if I remember correctly. Scottsdale, again, there it is Republican. Scottsdale is the uber rich. I mean, this is a city created for the rich. You go there, it feels like Palm Springs is there in Florida. Same thing. It feels rich, completely out of the world. And Phoenix and Tempe, on the other hand, are the poorer cousins. So we have to see there. And but Wisconsin also, he's pulling, sir. He's pulling away. 3% lead is not bad. He was in 0.2, 0.3, 0.5.
Sree, we covered in 2020 extensively Maricopa. Okay,
yes.
we had both Fox and CNN people getting sacked as a result of whatever they called in Maricopa, right? So to me in Maricopa, it's questionable because trolleys and what you call wheel-in bags were wheeled in and wheeled out. There was a brief power interruption. There was also all kinds of stuff. So I discount any kind. I also think that the Maricopa County can also factor in some of the African-American kind of influence voters in that. So So to me, Arizona, now I can reasonably say Wisconsin will go despite the numbers to President Trump. Okay. Pennsylvania, I'm not prepared to push. Virginia has already gone. Virginia is over. I think Virginia will be Democrat. They will retain that position. But I believe Arizona and Wisconsin will now go. So the question is, South Carolina has already gone to Trump. Georgia has gone to Trump. The question is, what is left? What is here? You will see in this map that 205,117 that I have given you, which is officially declared. Virginia is still not called. Georgia is not called. Still, these people have not called this. I mean, this is a bit old. I can send you the latest version. Washington State, Oregon, and California has been called. They're all going to Democratic candidate. By the way, Iowa, which we didn't say, Iowa has gone very small but very significant. Those who win Iowa win the presidency. Iowa has gone to President Trump.
Yeah, he got disconnected or something.
He got disconnected.
I'm back. Yeah,
1 minute. I'm going to send you now 246 to 160. No, I'll wait. As per my numbers, Arizona is not called. 246 is not is called. Missouri, there's no surprise, 16 base. So as of now, as I see, Trump requires 24 electoral college votes to win. So which means if he gets Arizona, we have already called Arizona and Wisconsin, is on to the presidency. He will become the president. No, not Arizona and Wisconsin. He needs to get Arizona and Michigan, or he has to get Michigan and Wisconsin. If he gets Michigan and Wisconsin, he's got the presidency.
I think Wisconsin and Michigan more likely. If you ask me.
Yeah. If he gets Arizona, Arizona, I've said yes. Arizona, Michigan, and Wisconsin will imply 11 plus 15, 26 plus 10, 36. That means he is 282. 282.
You have factored in Minnesota already.
No. I'll send you this one, Sreeji. You put it up.
Yeah. Sir, go ahead and send it to me, and I'll just momentarily duck out and then come back in. In the meantime, Sridharji, I have the update on the Senate and House and Governor. In Senate, it is 40 Democrats, 48 Republicans. In House, it is 113 Democrats, 166 Republican. And in Governors, it's 22 Democrats, 26 Republicans, which means still two more governors races are in play. And I guess the House will actually result in a Democratic lead very soon, because there are 50 plus seats in California, and I think usually 3 or 4 will make it from Republican side. The rest will go to California, to the Democrats. So we'll see. That I'm going to update. So you already sent it to Sridharji?
So I just sent you the sheet. You can see Georgia is 90%, 51-48. I believe that that's going to Trump. That's going to Trump. So that's 15 electoral college votes is going to Trump. Arizona, I call 26. Then I think it's a matter of getting those two. Georgia is already called, per my numbers, it's already called. It's 246 to Trump and 169. You can add 193 fairly safely to Madam Harris. So I think she's now up fighting a mammoth battle in terms of getting to the presidency, because there's a lot of.
Yeah, I have my customary call for likes from our viewers. Another 1,000 likes, and we'll start seeing a lot of traffic come our way again. It is early in the morning in India. India is waking up to this news. I'm sure many people will tune in once they start seeing the coverage by PGurus. So please help us first to create that buzz. Another 1,000 likes and we will have a lot of people watching it. Sridharji, I had asked Professor Ramesh one question, and once he finishes the answering that, I would like to ask you the same question. The question is, Trump was mulling loud whether he should abolish personal income taxes. Rameshji was answering that. Please finish your answer, sir, and then you can answer, Sridharji. I'm going to duck out for just 1 minute so I can bring up these screens. Over to you.
Yeah, Sridharji, I was just telling him that it's still a big call to abolish personal income tax. But I was saying that a lot of corporates are anyway located outside US, so that's also going away for the US. If you really look at the corporate tax, maybe he was telling about certain discrepancies. So maybe you may have personal income tax reforms you may have, and maybe and then question then again boils down to what you call in economics as the size of the government. Are they really looking at a smaller size of the government? Then only you can really work around with the taxes and like that. You don't have any elbow room. I don't think the state has any elbow room to really play around this. That's my take. Yeah.
I think your observations are very, very correct. First and foremost, on the difference between the Republicans and the Democrats is big government versus small government. Okay, so therefore, the Republicans believe in small government. So you will continue to see those reforms happening. But the way the Democrats are flooded, it takes a long amount of time because the employment contracts for the federal laws are lifelong guarantees under that. So there's going to be a structural change on that side is going to be very, very hard, but is going to attempt, number one. And number two, I think on the personal taxes side, there are only two taxes which drive. In fact, there's only one tax which is the personal taxes. That constitutes the significant part of the receipts of the government. So therefore, he can tweak it, but I don't think he can abolish it. There's no way. It's a significant.
He said 15%. He said 15% or something like that, probably bringing it down or something, or 20%. I don't know.
I think so he can reduce each of the slabs by maybe 2%, 3% slabs. He can reduce the top tier. He can give an incentive. One of the things that's happened is long-term, estate duty and estate taxes. He can bring it down, provided they put money, keep money back in United States. He can also give amnesty on taxes for some of the capital to come back from a redeployment point of view. He was attempting to do that. It didn't work in the last government. Mind you, he has to still get this. The finance matters has to get through Senate. He has to have a favorable Senate in terms of he cannot pass executive orders and get it done. He has to get it done through the Senate. So many of these things got into difficulties because not having the Senate numbers. So some of the policies may not see the daylight unless he has Senate. Again, for my data, Republicans are just one seat away from claiming majority. They may work with some willing Democrats to bring about some of these reforms. Okay, so on the what I call as the fiscal reforms. Okay, then the question still boils down to how he is going to address the balance sheet. Particularly on the expense side, because whatever he does is going to flow back into the balance sheet. How he's going to address that is a $1 billion question. Who is going to be the treasurer? We don't know as yet. That thing has been kept vacant. Will he allow our present governor to continue in the Fed? Okay, because he's already had an extension. So who he would bring as a governor is another thing. Fortunately, had Bernanke and things did work for a period of time. Then of course he was very forceful. The question therefore is that Fed governor, the Treasury Secretary, and the Senate is to play a very important role in the global, not just United States, but the global kind of capital structure. And
so one question to you is, anybody from academic world will come join him?
not at this stage.
Not at this stage.
No,
Okay.
not at this stage. Not. He somehow believes that you need
Corporates are better than.
people from the markets who have managed large balance sheets. Right, that's his belief.
I agree with him, brother.
Yeah, he says US is a big corporate balance sheet. So you need people who, for example, how do we manage debt? How do we roll our debt over? How do we reprice the various points of the debt?
You should know markets, basically. I mean,
Yeah, exactly. So I think these are the things that play in.
Sridharji, I've got your new bitmap loaded, sir. You can talk to it now.
Okay, so you should add, this is not added, 12 plus 8, 20. So we can add 189. I think it's, they also got far up the main. So I think it's about 193 to right now as we speak to Harris. You can see from here, Georgia is called, South Carolina is called, North Carolina is called. So therefore it's 246. So it boils down, it looks like it is with all the favorable states of Democrats called, with Trump where he is, okay, it's very hard to see him losing from here unless he loses Arizona, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota. He has to lose all those states for him to lose this election. So he's only 24 away from the victory. And at this stage, he needs only 2 states. If he gets Arizona and Wisconsin, he's in White House. If he gets Michigan and Wisconsin, he's in White House. So therefore, any of these combinations is edging him closer because he got Georgia and he got South Carolina. That has really got him into the 246. I thought that he flipped Virginia. He did not flip Virginia. Virginia has gone back to the Democrats. So he's very strongly positioned now to be the next president of the United States. Sree.
Thank you, Sridharji. Professor Ramesh, you said you needed to leave. Whenever you feel like you need to leave, you can give a concluding statement. And then
you are talking about Indian viewership. No, somehow here there's a belief that the result may really take after 11 o'clock and things like that. So probably people are not still tuned in. In India, they are really looking for a much slower release of the results and like that. Sree.
Yes, indeed, very true.
You really find traction from now, actually.
Yes,
definitely. They didn't expect before 10. I mean,
Yeah.
I leave now. I'll join after some time. I'm just on the way.
Yes, indeed. Thank you, sir.
No, but
Thank
I
you.
take the word of Sridhar and then I'm going. That Trump is forming the government.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
So it looks more likely
Trump is heading to the White House.
Yeah, because if you look at some of the voting percentage, it's also very high now. If you see 77%, 60% like that. I mean, we predict with like not even 1% vote. Our people predict. Now we have got a 70% voting information. So we should be at least able to say now, actually. I always tell the people who do these polls and all like on the vote counting day, you cannot say even after 70% counting is done who will form the government. Okay, but with your Gallup polls in these snap polls, you say that he's forming the government.
Very true.
So
very true. Thank you.
That's a beauty
Thank
of
you.
election and democracy. So it's as close as to the cricket, I can say, democracy.
Yes, indeed. Thank you so much, Professor Ramesh, and we'll be back again.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So, Sridharji, one surprise. I'm looking at Minnesota with 47% votes counted. Kamala Harris is in the lead with 55.1%, and Donald Trump is trailing at 42.8%. So Minnesota gone, I think. It's a sizable lead. I don't know how it started out so lopsided. Maybe it was one of the rural areas that got counted first, and now they are coming to the urban areas, and we are seeing that Minnesota is slipping away from Trump's grip.
They did not count. They had not counted as yet the progressive left counties. Sree, now they have counted. No, I never expected. We never expected Minnesota to flip. I don't even know why it is called a toss-up state. So therefore, it's interesting. Let's see if we can send one more view of the map. Let me go to
Google to DuckDuckGo on all your devices.
Okay. The Fox is saying 216 to 193 to Harris. Let me go to CNN, which usually gives the live updates. Early projections due to clear up. I don't know what they. I mean, yeah, it's very clear. It is going towards I don't know. I am very sure. I'm surprised. I'm not. I should not be surprised. Okay. Should not be surprised.
So why don't you summon your vote? I have one statement to make here. Viewers, I have an update for you on Wisconsin. And in Wisconsin, the lead is still consistent. Trump is up by at least 3.5% points. And the 68% of the votes counted. Donald Trump 50.9% and Kamala Harris 47.7%. And in Michigan, again, 37% of the votes counted. Trump is ahead, 51.5%, and Kamala Harris is 46.8%. So he's still maintaining a 5% lead. 5% is, in my opinion, a fairly big percentage number, Sridharji. 5% lead in Michigan is a fairly big percentage of lead. So Michigan and Wisconsin could both swing Trump's way. And in Pennsylvania, he's still maintaining close to 4.4%. 79% of the votes counted. Donald Trump 51.2%. Kamala Harris 47.8%. So Pennsylvania also could swing to Trump. And Georgia, like we said, Georgia is 91% counting now done. 51% to Trump and 48.3% to Kamala Harris. That also perhaps is finished now. Let's take a look at Arizona. Arizona has not been updated. Trump continues to lead, but there is no update. It is still at 50% of the votes counted. I wonder if there is any delay or something of that nature. I don't have any latest update from there. So that's all we have, sir. Over to you. So let's talk about what are the other things that Trump will do. Sir, you and I were talking in the morning, I think, offline. We were talking about what do you do with the 15 million illegal immigrants that have flooded the country? What are we going to do about them? Is there anything that can be done? And supposing, say, they are scattered all over the country, what would be the means and mechanism by which this will be identified and brought back to the border for processing and then sending them out of the country?
I think we can speak in theoretical terms. What happens is those who are in the border, okay, those who are in the border awaiting entry, I think many of them will be sent back. Okay, they are in the border. They will be asked. They may use Texas and states like Texas and Florida will weigh in with some help in terms of enforcing that. So you may see. Second, there are what you call as the programs to deport those who have deportation, those who get caught, those who are identified as a mechanism to deport. They may do that could be. The third is that there's a lot of work permits that were issued, temporary work permits. They may kind of investigate those work permits and trying to start moving them. There's a lot of people who are on debit cards, prepaid, pre-funded debit cards. Now, those aid will stop from the federal side. Remember, if they are locked in California, New York, okay, New York, New Jersey, these states are very favorable and sympathetic on state laws to keep them within the state. So you may find that many of these people will be on state level work permits and state funded programs. That may mean that quite a few of them, like the DACA, DACA program, there's about 11 million of them. They're still hanging around and they've all kind of grown. So there is going to be a residual part of the America, the residual part of these illegals. How many million we don't know, but that they're going to. So two things will happen. He will stop future, and he will stop those who are in the porous transient border waiting. He will only be able to send those back, and those who are caught and not having documents. But they may not be a big number. They may be a still small number. But there's a very big problem within the context of these huge numbers sitting within, and no mechanism, especially in states which are favorable to accommodate these people.
Thank you, sir. And now let's take a quick look at the two ongoing conflicts. I wouldn't say, well, one is a war, definitely. The other one is still a conflict because it's a multi-pronged hit. We talked briefly about the defense minister and 3 other officials, or 4 people, I don't know, being dismissed from the government. The defense minister is no longer the defense minister in Israel. The question that I had for you is, immediately, well, he said on the first day of office, I'm going to stop the war in Ukraine. Any thoughts on that? Because I'm hearing a lot of stories about some of the deep state entities having bought up farmlands by the, I don't know, kilometers, square kilometers, some of the most fertile wheat farmlands or plains in Ukraine, which was being contested. What are your thoughts on the Ukraine conflict? I'm just going to go grab a glass of water and come right back. You keep talking, sir. Everything will be going fine. I'll be right back.
Great. See, I think the Ukraine war, how is the Ukraine war progressing? The Ukraine war is progressing for 3 reasons. One, funding. Regular funding that goes from United States, number 1. Regular supply of arms that goes from United States, 2. 3, support by European Union and funding by EU, which some of the European states had resisted, but EU requires consensus, arm twisted, and EU is continuing to fund. If I have to use an outer layer, 4th, the G7 countries had pledged support for the reconstruction of Ukraine. So it is these 4 measures that has sustained the Ukraine war. Now, once the funding stops, and once there is a much more assertive view from the United States leadership, you may see Ukraine and Russia come to an agreement, because both of them have reached a stage where they don't want this to continue. Okay, if Russia reaches a desperate stage where it needs to call people from North Korea to fight for it in some of the places, then it just tells you that they are in both economic as well as manpower. So there may be what you call a truce by virtue of funding and by virtue of lack of support coming from United States, more specifically. That you will see some resolution. And this is where people like Modi may play a role, knowing both sides, Ukraine as well as Russia. I think it's time to stop. And some compromises on lands gained. There won't be any political reforms in terms of languages, this, that, and so on. And they will take at least a temporary break until such time some next set of people emerge. This is on the Russia-Ukraine war. I see Russia-Ukraine war tapering off, Sree.
Thank you so much, sir. We'll come to the Israel conflict in just one moment. I want to acknowledge some people who have donated. Thank you so much, Rakesh Sharma. Sree, aapke liye Haryana ki jalebi if Trump wins. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And thank you, Mr. X4X, for becoming YouTube member. And Dan Dave, thank you so much for your contribution. Hope Trump wins. He is good for India, Israel, Russia, and will bring peace to this world. Indian Americans must create a pro-India space in Republican Party. Democrats are jihad and Khalistani lovers. Sridharji, your comment, because you know probably a little bit about what is happening in Republican Party, sir.
Well, I think these things are going to remain and simmer along for a long time. What happens is there's, unless you have a sustained government, I had 4 years, 2016 to 2020, very gung-ho India-US relationships. Almost every other day, Mike Pompeo was in the region and, celebrating, etc., and providing support. Capital flows increased, lots of proactive engagement increased. Under Biden, it didn't stop, it continued, but then there was backpedaling and political interference, both in India as well as in United States, with fringe elements playing a part. Many of the decisions on the geopolitics around, withdrawal in Afghanistan and some of the stuff around the region did not help India's cause. Doesn't mean that people within the Republican Party, having people within the Republican Party would have helped. But July 26th, if I remember the date, either July 26th or somewhere around the date, we covered this in DGI. Marco Rubio in the Senate introduced a special bill which said India should be treated as a special member status along the lines of, that is accorded to Japan, Israel, UK, and one more country. Okay, so special accord. So which means a lot of strategic sharing of information and mutual kind of Taiwan, mutual protection, etc. So protection of Indian sovereignty, etc. Now, will this bill be reintroduced? I think it's all probably it'll be reintroduced when Senate has the majority under Republican. It'll get through. That will be a very big win from India. Similarly, the economic aid, the military aid, and strategic support to Israel will happen under the Trump administration. To a large extent, it was like left hand and right hand with Biden. Biden did provide support. Biden did move ships to the Middle East, did provide the coverage. He did make sure that some of these Iranian drones, etc., were knocked off from the US ships. So therefore, that will only strengthen under the Israeli kind of leadership, under the Republican leadership. As far as Russia is concerned, I think that what Trump will do is, Russia to deal with by itself with EU and other issues. And I don't believe he will interfere and threaten Russia's existence. So that's the policy that he followed. He said, look after, but if you are going to threaten us, we'll hit you back. So therefore, I think that you may see eventually EU and Russia sort out their problems. And I think it's better for both of them. And I think you may also see some energy and gas supplies restored back to Europe. The normalization of those ties happening once there is a truce. That's my view on that. Whereas definitely, I don't think some of this Khalistani stuff that is happening in the United States will be tolerated. There will be a very strong law enforcement coming from the federal side for these kinds of activities. Clearly, Mr. Trudeau is not going to have his way on intelligence and kind of sympathetic support. State Department will be far more in favor of India in terms of the evidence it has projected or it has shared with the United States. I think Five Eyes will become One Eye or Two Eyes in terms of the intelligence sharing. I don't know whether people have tracked External Affairs Minister Jaishankar's visit to Australia, where he emphasized that out of 7 trusted friends, they brought, they think Australia and India have a very strong ground based on various factors to be strategic partners. So I think that you may see some more sympathy. It doesn't matter whether it is Labour Party or Liberal Party on the Republican side, on the Australian side, having some sympathetic support. Australia has always enjoyed a strategic partnership with US. So you may begin to see a lot of enforcement and deterrence happening by virtue of policy. And Trump has been emphatic in making the statement he is for and supporting the Hindus in Bangladesh in this, leading into the election. I'm sympathetic and I'm supportive of the Hindus in Bangladesh, and I do not accept the policies that is being followed and pursued in Bangladesh. So he has made many of these things very clear, and that's because of his natural dispensation, and that generally is the case with the Republicans. Last comment, you can change anybody, but I don't know whether you can change an American Indian. So we may move the needle from 28% of Indian Americans supporting to 30% or 32%. Just as we cannot change 3 states in West Coast, we cannot change many of the Indian Americans' color, whatever we do. They will enjoy the benefit, and then they will still go the opposite way.
Sir, Dan Deve, thank you so much. Somali Muslims are the progressives of Minnesota. He's, I think, just joking about the fact that Minnesota is going blue now. And Shruti Chandak has a question, sir. Did Biden give presidential pardon to his son? If not, is there hope they might be charged?
No, I think Republicans will not follow, and President Trump will not follow the policy of persecution. I think that if Biden offers amnesty, okay, fine, no problem, go ahead. And if he doesn't, then okay. In the scheme of things, that's not a priority in my view, at least, knowing the some of the stuff that Mr. Trump does. I don't think that'll be his priority, Sree.
Thank you so much, sir. Now let's take a quick look at the screen here. You are seeing all the different races. Virginia, I guess, has been declared for Kamala Harris. Yeah. And Ohio, Trump, of course. And I'm just going to go take a quick peek at these races on the other side that I've been following. And I'll give you that information in just 1 second, sir. Viewers, just stay with me. And here we go. So the latest here is we were looking at Arizona, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Michigan. Those are 4 states that we are looking at. Wisconsin, 72% of the vote counted. Donald Trump still in the lead, 51%, and 47.6% for Kamala Harris, which means it is 3.4% lead. So he's keeping a good 3.4% lead. Michigan, Donald Trump actually has a 5% lead now. The lead has increased a little bit. 42% of the votes counted, 51.6% for Donald Trump, 46.7% for Kamala Harris. Pennsylvania, 82% of the votes counted, 51.4% for Donald Trump, 47.6% for Kamala Harris. That's a 4% lead there. And in Arizona, it is still the same, 49.8% for Donald Trump and 49.4% for Kamala Harris. And it's still 50% of the votes counted. So this is still not changed. The Arizona situation hasn't changed yet. So we have to see what happens there.
Okay, Sree, I sent you a chart. 1 minute. I'm going to resend the chart to you. Resend the chart. I'm going to resend it. You got it? Which shows 232 to 211, which is more up to date from this is from Fox. I just resent it to you. Just take a please, if you can post it, that'll be great. Did you get it?
Yes, sir. I will do that I'll do that in the meantime. Sridharji, talk to us a little bit about all these things. So one of the challenges that even small towns, I'm just going to take away this sheet because we can always bring it back later. One of the things that has happened is, just give me a second, I need to take off this one screen. Thank you, Mr. R.K. Rao, for your super sticker. One of the things that I'm seeing is now there are lots of people on dole, left, right, and center, illegal immigrants, people. We were talking about this post-COVID in 2021, late 2021, early 2022, as to how people are happy to sit at home and not go back to work. this food stamp bills and things like that. I saw a number somewhere like 1 in 3 households are on food stamps. Do you have any idea on that? How high the food stamps problem is? How is that going to be solved by Trump? We can't continue to do this thing, especially for the illegals. What happens to them?
During the peak of COVID, 90 million people had food stamps. I haven't checked the latest number. And, we will probably take a look at those numbers. I don't think the food stamp issue will have a material impact on the budget, sir. The material impact of the budget will be around this, what you call as the programs on alternate energy, the programs on this Inflation Reduction Act, the programs on some of the climate change programs. These all run into billions and billions of dollars, and programs around funding Ukraine, etc., and funding illegals. So many of these programs run into billions relative to the cost of the food stamp programs. So to me, he will be tackling those big issues and completely kind of taking them off the balance sheet and suspending those programs. The fact that he reopens, maybe even Keystone Pipeline, he renews the leases, he gives new leases, on the shale gas, he revitalizes the natural gas industry. So many of these programs is what his focus will be on, and also on tariffs, which is namely to bring manufacturing back. So that's where his focus will be on, and those are big ticket items in the scheme of things. So this is another news channel which is confirming these numbers. Trump at 232, Harris at 211. You can see that Georgia has not been called as yet. Arizona has not been called as yet. Virginia has been called. Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Nevada have not been called. When there are the Hawaii and Alaska, so 232 for Trump. So 38 seats to 270. So where will the 38 seats? I called Arizona. I called Georgia. So therefore, if those two seats go 27, then, he's just 11 seats away. So he needs either he needs either Pennsylvania or Wisconsin or Michigan. So if he gets Michigan, Georgia, and Arizona, he's onto the White House. Okay. If he gets Pennsylvania, Arizona, and Georgia, he's onto the White House. I believe Georgia and Arizona are his, which means it's.
And let me go back and take a look. Sridharji, are you back?
I'm here.
Yeah. Go ahead, sir. So you were finishing up about Georgia still not being called. However, we see that Georgia numbers haven't changed. Trump continues to be in the lead.
Yeah, Georgia and Arizona is now, we can safely say, is in Trump's hands. That's 27. So that takes it to about 259, which means he needs either Wisconsin or Michigan or Pennsylvania to ride his way to the presidency.
Sir, Georgia, I have the latest update. 93% of the votes counted. It is actually tightened up. Donald Trump 50.8% and Kamala Harris 48.5%. That is, difference is 2.3% vote. And in terms of actual votes, it's about 12,000, sir. 12,000 votes.
Big number. I mean, I think that the relatively speaking, it's a big number. Within that, I have a feeling Georgia will get back to the Republicans, and Arizona will Arizona will also get back to the Republicans. The question is it Wisconsin or is it Michigan? If he gets Wisconsin, Arizona, and Georgia, he'll be one shot, Sree. He'll be one shot.
Sir, I have an update on Wisconsin. 75% of the votes counted. Donald Trump 51.2%. Kamala Harris 47.3%. Again, a 4% lead for Trump there, and it's 75% of the vote counted. And
This is
in Michigan, this is Wisconsin, sir.
Okay.
And in Michigan, I have 45% of the votes counted. Trump has 51.6%, and Kamala Harris has 46.7%. Trump is still about 5% ahead, 5% ahead in Michigan. But there is still some distance to go. 45% only counted. And let's take a look at Minnesota. 53% of the vote counted. Kamala Harris has 52.4%, and Donald Trump has 45.5%. Don't know, sir. It depends upon which areas of Minnesota are still not counted. If it is, there are a fair amount of rural counties and semi-urban. Who knows? It could still Trump could still catch up. Your thoughts, sir?
Well, we have been speaking about Trump. Let's go to Madam Harris. She has to retain. She has to retain Minnesota 10. She has to retain Wisconsin. That's 10, 20. She has to retain Michigan, which is 15, 35. She has to retain Pennsylvania, 19, 54. She has to retain Nevada, which is 60. If she retains these 5 seats, 60, that takes her to 271. If she retains Arizona, retains Michigan, retains Wisconsin, all those states, okay, so that's 11 plus 6, 17, 17 plus 20, 37, 37 plus 19, 56, 71. So 71 plus 211 is 282. Okay, 282. So then she's on to her presidency. How did Biden get 302? He got 302 because Nevada, Arizona, Michigan, Wisconsin,
And Pennsylvania.
and Georgia.
Yeah.
Okay, and also probably not Alaska but Hawaii. Okay, one of those two. So that's how he got 91 seats, and he got 302 in the last election. So 302 plus 232. So Trump is exactly where he was last time. And if elections were called in 2020 as it was called, it'll be 302, 232, Sree, winning all the seats on the board, undeclared.
Can you hear me, sir?
Now I hear you. Though it looks like it froze for some time, Sree.
Yeah. So the internet is under a lot of stress. We are sorry about that. I would.
Should we exit and re-enter, Jim? Should we exit and re-enter?
No, it's not that, sir. It is. Sir, I'm also having the same problem.
Okay.
Just hang on, sir. It'll stabilize. It'll stabilize. Just give me a. Sir, we have been on air for 2 hours and 32 minutes. My guess is, if you have the time, let us wait and see if this 2 or 3 states. Let's wait for that magical number to be reached by Trump. And then that is one thing that we can probably say, okay, now it's going to happen. Although I'm not 100% sure, Arizona stopped counting completely. What I was going to say was that for California, it's 60% Democrat and 37.4% Republican. That's impressive, sir. I pulled 7% vote. I'm the lone non-blue.
You're a lone ranger. You're the lone ranger.
Yes, lone ranger. Yes.
The lone ranger. Georgia has to call, sir. Georgia has to call. They have to call Georgia. They have to call Georgia.
Yeah. It's a 93% of the. Yeah, go ahead, sir.
What percentage of votes and what is the percentage gap, sir?
In Georgia, it is 93% of the vote counted, and Trump has a 2.3% lead, 50.8%, and Kamala Harris has 48.5%. And the lead in terms of actual votes is 119,000 votes, sir. 119,000 votes. That's a big number, if you ask me. He's up by 120,000 votes.
90,000. What? Sorry, repeat the percentage. I was just trying to see whether any new data coming out.
Yeah, just give me 1 second, sir. I'm looking at Georgia. Our editor, backend editor Sachin has joined us now. And go down a little bit, please. Which states will decide the election? Yeah, that's the one that we are looking at. Yeah, it is still, I mean, it is just giving some percentages. Sachin, it's okay. I've got a better one here. And this one gives me up to date because it is changing all the time. And I'll tell you what it is now, sir. Just give me 1 second. Arizona has stopped counting. Interesting.
No, Arizona has a curfew. They will stop and then come back. Remember last time? They shut down and left. Remember last 2020 election, Sree?
And then magically dozens of boxes appeared in the for counting.
So I think they have a curfew, so I'm not surprised. So we shouldn't worry about Arizona. Arizona, I think, will make its way. The question, therefore, is what's happening in Georgia? Because I've called Georgia. I've called Georgia and Arizona. So what's happening in Georgia? That's my key question. What's the number right now? What's the
93% votes counted, and it is Trump is holding. Let me just get 2.1% lead or something like that. Just give me 1 second.
So
Trump is holding 2.3% lead, sir. 50.8. Yeah.
Very soon it'll be called. Very soon it'll be called, because 93, around 96% they will call. Around 96% they will call. 3%. So that would be a significant.
And in Pennsylvania, Sree Iyer, 84% of the votes counted. Trump is at 51% and Kamala Harris is at 48.1%. Trump is up by 117,000 votes. 117,000.
I think I would say we are inching there, because the difference was 80,000 votes last time. 80,000 votes.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, right. So therefore, clearly the vote has split. And
yeah, he's got the same thing. All right. So what you need to do, Sachin, I was doing this before, need to expand the screen so that only the map shows up, nothing else, only the map.
So AP is lagging behind. Either you have to go to Fox or you have to go to CNN, because AP is
Let me take a look at fox.com. Sachin, you heard that, right? Can you take a look at fox.com to find out how it is? What's the latest there? I'm also trying to pull it up. Okay.
Really turn things around, and what's coming in is not showing that is likely or possible. One of those sources put it the most bluntly, saying, I think that we're losing this. Right now, the crowd.
Sridharji, the reason why I was using AP was giving me that convenient way to pick up the numbers. Everything else is like mumbo jumbo, you know?
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Just one moment. I'm also going to another channel, G.
Yeah. So viewers, this is essentially inching towards a Trump win, and everything is going to be like pulling teeth now from here on.
Yeah.
10%.
So I am showing a result of 247. 247. Utah, 6 seats has gone to. It's not a surprise. Utah has gone to President Trump. So we have 247, and one Republican district, one Maine, and one Democrat is 1-1. That's the way it is counted. So 247. Okay, one district is New England state.
Nebraska, I think. I think you meant Nebraska.
Yeah, Nebraska. Sorry, 247. The way I looking at it is 247. 204 is what we are seeing, with 87 to be called. 87 is Nevada 6, Arizona 11, New Mexico 5. Then, of course, the 4 big states: Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Minnesota. So 247 to Trump and 204 to Harris. So, in other words, if Michigan and Wisconsin goes to President Trump, then he is in the president's seat. If Arizona, Georgia is already called. If Arizona and let's say Michigan is called, then that means President Trump. If Arizona, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, Arizona will not be called tonight. So we have to focus on Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. So Pennsylvania, if Michigan comes this way and Wisconsin comes this way, tonight we will have a presidential outcome, Sree.
Thank you, sir. And in races for Senate, it is 42 to Democrats, 51 for Republicans. So, sir, the Republicans have got the Senate now. Can we call that?
Correct. Yes, we can call. The Republicans have the Senate, and if Trump comes in, it's 52. So, therefore, they have the numbers, and so they control the money bill.
and in the House, it is 139 to 178. Again, the California results will skew things in one direction horribly. So we'll have to wait and see for that one. In the governors, it's 23 to 26 with one still undecided. We'll have to wait and see what happens there. And as far as the latest in Pennsylvania, it is still at 84%. Sridharji, let me see. I just got a new update. Just give me 1 second. Yeah, it's still at 84%. Georgia is at 93%. Wisconsin at 77%. Now, Wisconsin, I have another update. 77% of the votes counted. Trump is at 51.2% and Kamala Harris at 47.3%. 4% lead in Wisconsin. And in Michigan, I have 48% of the votes counted, 52.2% for Trump and 46.1% for Kamala Harris. And that's a good, healthy 6% lead, sir. 6% is nothing to scoff at. 6% is pretty good. And now I'm going.
Yeah, given that Arizona will be, will not be counting there. So I think that what you're saying, Sree, is tonight we will have a presidential outcome based on what is going on in Minnesota, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. Those 4 states, if they declare results, we will have a presidential nominee or presidential elect announced tonight, which many predicted will not happen. And we had also talked about some kind of chaos. The elections have prevailed in the oldest democracy, and I haven't seen anything which says adversarial in terms of people making comments one way or the other way. So both the governor races, the Senate races, the presidential races, orderly process seems to have prevailed, Sree.
Says, I'm curious to see what happens to Arizona gubernatorial race. Kari Lake, a popular TV presenter, is the Republican candidate. She lost last time around, and she had claimed that the election was rigged, and that we don't know yet. But I think that number will come up. That's why I'm waiting to let this thing scroll through. We'll get the Kari Lake
Governor, yeah. Governor Utah, no surprise. Look at the lead. Indiana, no surprise. So they have flipped, now gone back to the presidential. 1 minute. Let me see the governor, right? So the races.
Yeah. What is happening on Kari Lake, sir? Arizona. While you are looking it up, I just want to make some acknowledgements. Thank you, Maithili ji, super sticker. Thank you, Vijay Bhamidi Party, for your super sticker. Thank you, Rayadurgam Narsimham, for becoming a YouTube member. Thank you, Chelsea FC, for your donation. You should have looked at birth chart. Kamala has said, sad state, no chance she would have won. No, I had the opposite being told that Kamala has a better chance to win than Trump. And in fact, I had forwarded a message to Sridharji 2 days ago. He was not at all hopeful of a Trump win. And I had forwarded a good friend of mine his message to Sridharji saying that Trump is going to win because, sir, Surya was in the right place, sir.
Yes, yes. So we have to go by the data. So the data that we were receiving is that based on the status quo, everything is pointing towards Harris, unless we covered this again, unless the middle America and there is a significant swing from the African American or other constituent voters. That's exactly what happened. There's been a significant shift. Now, coming to the governor's race, 50% of votes is in. No, this is Senate. 50% of the votes is in. Kerry Lake at 45.9%, and Ruben Gallego is at 52.3%.
Okay, so that's a good one, tough one.
Phoenix Progressive as a Harvard predict. So he's kind of. So that's just the latest results from there, from Arizona.
And can we continue with the acknowledgements, please? Thank you, Prashant Khubasad, for your super sticker. Thank you, Abhi, for your super sticker. Okay, one moment. Let's get back to races here. I'm going to switch to my screen. Thank you. Oh, sorry.
So yeah, Rick's card, no surprise, sir. Look at the percentages in Florida, Texas.
Right.
Ted Cruz.
This was a big one. So you remember you said he was in the fight of his life?
Yeah, he was. I think that what has happened is that many of these border people, many of these people who otherwise probably refrained, sir, your man is one, Adam Schiff.
He is not my man, sir. He's your man.
He's my man, yes. He is my man, and he's one, sir. So what can I say? I'm so happy that he'll be in the he'll be making his usual noise. Arizona, Eli Crane is leading very strong, 55-45 at 43%. So some very good numbers coming in from Arizona for the Republicans. And
yeah, that gives me hope that Trump will pull it through. Correct.
Yeah, very good numbers. But the Democrats will still hold sway in Arizona. So, Amish Shah, contesting on a Democratic, is leading by 51-49. California, Adam Gray, 52-48. These are all kind of predictable races which go towards one way versus the other way, Shriji. So therefore, the traditional Democrats, the traditional Republicans. So the swing has not happened in House as much as one thought would happen, Shriji.
Yeah. So this is a very close call. District 27. The vote difference is hardly 1,000 votes.
Yeah.
District 41.
No, but California is all Democrats, Shriji.
Very true. Very true.
I'm very closely watching whether we are going from 232 to 248. That is Georgia. Fox has not called Georgia as yet. They should call Georgia.
Right.
Once they call Georgia, then we will go to 248 to 216. New Mexico has been called. New Mexico 5, so Maris is 216. Colorado and New Mexico, the adjacent states, which form the, with Arizona, Colorado, New Mexico. New Mexico, they expected to flip. New Mexico has not flipped. The Democrats have done well, and they have retained that seat, Sree.
Yeah, and it's not. Looks like it was not even close. It was pretty convincing victory for the Democrats there. AP is loading. I don't know what happened. AP site is also slowed down. Yeah, now it is loaded. In New Mexico, the numbers are 51.2% for Kamala Harris, 46.6% for Trump, 84% of the votes counted. And Arizona, interesting. Trump has widened his lead by about, I would say, 13,000. Now 51% of the votes counted, by 50% for Trump, 49.2% for Kamala Harris. So that's a close race there. Sir?
What percentage is counted in Arizona, G?
51.
No, I had called Arizona to Trump, okay, that it was leaning Trump, and I called it. Let's wait and see. 51 is too, no, let's wait and see what the official result, as far as I called it for Arizona to President Trump.
Sir, one more update from Wisconsin. 78% of the votes counted. Trump at 51.2% and Kamala Harris at 47.3%. A 4% lead. He's holding it steady. And in Michigan, it is 51% of the votes counted. Trump 52.2% and Kamala Harris 46%. So he has widened it just a little bit in Michigan, 6.2% now.
So what you're saying is now both Michigan and Wisconsin is leaning and shifting towards the Republicans.
Yes,
that's where Trump is holding his sway. So there's been no further update on my screen. In one screen, there's no further update. 232 to 216, which means on the West Coast, Nevada and Arizona to be called, okay, and in South Georgia to be called. So 1, 2, 3, and then up in Midwest, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania to called, and up in the Arctics, Alaska to be called, and then down in Pacific, Hawaii to be called. So these are the let me see whether they have called. Hawaii has been called. Hawaii has been called. It's gone to Democrats. They have retained Hawaii, 4 seats. So therefore, the Pacific Coast, Sree, the Pacific Coast, you have very strong Democratic candidates. Washington State, yes, sir.
Sridharji, a small update on Pennsylvania. 86% of the votes counted now. Donald Trump at 50.9% and Kamala Harris at 48.2%. That means 2.7% lead. 2.7% lead.
Too close, G. Too close.
It's close. Yeah.
Too close.
And in Georgia now, 93%, still at 93%. And he's up by 112,000 votes. 50.8% for Donald Trump and 48.5% for Kamala Harris. We just momentarily lost Sridharji, but he'll join us back again in a moment. He's back.
Yep.
So Sridharji, in Georgia, 93% still. Donald Trump is having a lead of 120,000 votes and 50.8%. Yeah, 50.8%, 48.5%, 2.3% difference, sir. 2.3%.
What's the percentage of votes counted, G?
93.
Still at 93. Remember last time also 93. We had not edged past. So there's some big county that is Buck County. There's some county that has not been counted as yet. So which is why it is not. It's still at 93. But according to one channel, they predicted Georgia to be President Trump, and they predicted Georgia to be, and one channel is not called it as yet. So 232 to 216, one channel. I don't know what AP is calling, Sree, numbers.
Yeah, no, it is still gray. They are not. They have not called it for.
AP News, what's the total number of seats between Trump and Senate Harris?
230 and 210. 230 and 210.
Oh, okay. So which means they have not called New Mexico. So they have not called New Mexico. New Mexico is
Yeah.
they have not called New Mexico. Is it New Mexico? Yeah, they have not called New Mexico. They have not called New Mexico. Okay, so here they have called New Mexico. I'll tell you which is the states that they have called, Sree. Okay.
Yeah.
Democrats on the West Coast, Washington State, Oregon, California, and Hawaii. Okay. Then moving inward, west, Colorado, 10 seats, New Mexico, 5 seats. Moving further to Midwest region, Illinois, how many seats? 19 seats. Moving further east, Virginia, 13 seats. Then New York, 28 seats. Vermont, 3 seats. Massachusetts, 11 seats. New Jersey, 14 seats. Maryland, 10 seats. Then coming almost east, northeast, Maine, 4 seats. New Haven, 4 seats. Rhode Island, 4 seats. Connecticut, 7 seats. Delaware, 3 seats. This is all Harris making up number 216. President Trump, starting from west, Idaho, 4 seats. Utah, 6 seats. Montana, 4 seats. Wyoming, 3 seats. Moving further east, North Dakota, 3 seats. South Dakota, 3 seats. These are all oil states. North Dakota, South Dakota. Then Nebraska, 5 seats. Kentucky, 6 seats. Oklahoma, 7 seats. Texas, 40 seats. Moving further east, Indiana, 5 seats. Then Missouri, 10 seats. Arkansas, 6 seats. Louisiana, 8 electoral college. When I say seats, electoral college votes. Then moving further, Indiana, 11. Tennessee, 11. Missouri, 6. Moving Ohio, 17. Kentucky, 8. Alabama, 9. Then West Virginia, 4. North Carolina, 16. South Carolina, 9. Florida, 30. It's very important that they have, just as you can see in this map, which I will probably send to Sree, and you will post it. It's quite amazing as to how these red and blue blocks become, if I have to use the word, outliers within the context of the consolidation of the red in the center.
Yes, indeed.
I'm just going to send it to you right now, Sree.
Yeah.
I just sent it. While you bring that up, Sree.
Yeah.
I'll just take a momentary break.
I'm just going to go and get the data out. We'll just keep going, looking at the screen here. Thank you. And Sridharji will be joining us momentarily. I'm trying to get another guest for us. So stay tuned, viewers. Maybe you can see the ad. I'll be up to you, sir. We've loaded the latest one. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, so I think the latest numbers that, as I say, it is 232 to 216 in one channel. What's amazing thing here is that amazing stuff is that you can see now Trump has thus far, without the other states being called as yet, has polled 64 million votes, and Madam Harris has polled 58 million votes. You know, this is kind of quite a remarkable number. If last time in 2020, 75 million votes had been polled by President Trump, it just tells you that he is, despite all the kind of rhetoric and stuff that has been hoisted against him, he has got the pulse of the people. And the fact that many people have jumped across and voted in his favor is contrarian to the media's propaganda and advocacy, which believes that they have a self-righteous set of principles. It doesn't look right, it doesn't look this, it doesn't look that. If that is the case, how come 65 million, 63 million people have voted for him? Okay. And many of them this occasion have jumped across the party lines and voted in many of the states, which is what has resulted in the number. He isn't still the president, but he's already at 232. Okay, 232. So the thing that, just if you go up a little bit, Sree, the thing that we're trying to point out here is in this particular chart, the one that Sree is showing. No, the previous one, G. Yes, the one, if you see this chart, you can very clearly see this, on the rightmost corner is a combination of what we call as, Connecticut, Rhode Island, New Haven, Massachusetts, and Maine. They're called New England. Then you add Maryland, New York, and Vermont. So this is the eastern kind of east northeast seaboard. The east northeast seaboard is basically is blue. Then you go to the Pacific Rim and the West Coast, which is Washington, Oregon, California, and Hawaii. That is again deep blue. So if you now go into the central block, barring Colorado and New Mexico, Arizona hasn't been called, Georgia hasn't been called, you are effectively seeing a very big red block. A very big red block that effectively is the mainstream. If Georgia becomes red, then you have a stream of southern states which are all red states, the conservative states. So there seems to be a middle America alignment towards the mainstream kind of beliefs, which is Republican. Many of them are kind of rural, industrial America, and then you have the so-called tech the market land. Yeah.
Sridharji, I would like to introduce you to Karthik Gore, a very good friend of mine. He's based out of your favorite city, Dubai. He's also an astrologer. He had predicted a Trump win, provided he had put some provisos. Looks like Trump survived those provisos. Karthik ji, tell us a little bit about the reason for the success of Donald Trump according to the charts.
Yeah. So namaste everybody. Namah Shivaya.
Namaste.
Nice to see you, Sridharji. So it was actually in December 2023. See, Vedic astrology works purely based on logic, right? But at the same time, logic has got its permutations and combination, right? So based on Donald Trump's Tithi Pravesh chart, or what we call it as New Year chart, in December 2023, I had written a very, very straight, no nonsense comment saying that it is impossible to stop Trump. You know, it is very tough to stop Trump reaching the White House, provided Jupiter and Rahu are going to be controlled. Now let me elaborate on what I meant and actually what happened also post that, right? So Jupiter is judiciary. So I was very clear that they will first use judiciary and then all the legal provisions, so to say, to stop Trump. That is exactly what happened. Judiciary couldn't stop him. They tried to impeach him. They tried to do everything, basically. The second step was, okay, fair enough. Jupiter says that, hey, I can't do anything. Rahu, over to you. Rahu is nothing but the deep state. And Rahu then tried anything and everything possible, including assassination attempts. But as they say, Jako rakhe sahiya maar sake na koi, you know, Trump had the golden hand, so to say, and the hand of God on his head. And he survived that. And if the viewers of PGurus would remember that on 13th of September, I had predicted that, hey, listen, Surya goes to Virgo in 2 days' time. There are two things that will happen. One, yes, there is a security risk on Trump. Secondly, if he survives, his graph will absolutely go up after that. So what happened on the 15th when Surya entered Virgo? Yes, there was an assassination attempt on him. And since that day, his graph has gone exponentially up. Now, let me tell you a secret that post that event, the few of Trump team, they did contact me and they asked me, Karthik, what is one thing that you would recommend that has to be done? I told them that, listen, his Aruda has got Chandra. Chandra is all to do with food, you know, something to do with healthcare or something like that. Can you do a campaign related to something related to food? Frankly speaking, I didn't tell them about the McDonald's thing per se, but I did give them a thought that, hey, you guys can do something related to food. And as they say that it so happened that Kamala and all those things happened, and they did that, and that worked brilliantly. So all that I'm trying to say is that Raj Jyotish is a very, very definitive science. And if it's all about, a lot of people ask me that, hey, Karthik, what do you do? And I tell them that, hey, I help people with their strategic planning. So and that is what Jyotish is used for. Unfortunately, with so many of those Babajis coming into the picture who try to act like God, somewhere down the line, the crux of Jyotish has lost its significance. And they are too busy trying to act as if they are God. Whether the fact of the matter is we are just like anyone else, we are professionals, just like a doctor would look like see at an ECG or a lipid profile and sort of say that this medicine is good for you, or hey, if you don't take care of yourself, you will have an heart attack in 6 months' time. Similarly, a good Jyotishi is going to look at a horoscope and predict things. It's as simple as that.
Well done. Well
Karthik ji. Yeah, go ahead, Sridharji. You wanted to say something.
No, I think well done. I think very exceptional kind of rational scientific analysis, and that's how it has to be. And I have to say, I was very, very skeptical based on all the stuff that we have seen, but not factoring the astrological factors. But all the things that the story is that I did not expect him. Well, Georgia, I called to Trump when we started, when we are in the middle of the program. So Georgia is Trump. I've also called Arizona to be Trump. So I feel that he's on his way to become the president, Karthik ji.
Yeah, in fact, if viewers will also remember, when in fact Biden was there, and I had jokingly told in PGurus channel कि भाई Biden नहीं मानेगा तो उसको समझा देंगे. Like in the Pakistani language ke uska software update kar denge. And in 2 days there was a thing that okay, he has a COVID and he is not available, and after that Kamala came in. And when Kamala came in fact we did a show where I said that hey, listen, she is a pure deep state asset and very, very strong candidate. And in the end, after giving all that permutation combination, I still used advantage Trump.
Well done, well done, well done. Congratulations to you, sir.
It is victory of Jyotish. See, I always tell people that, hey, listen, and in one of the summit I was there, I told that, listen, the Jaimini Sutras that I've learned in 3 volumes or 2 volumes was actually in 12 volumes. Right. The Briyat Parashara that we have learned. So a lot of our knowledge, sir, has been lost out to the Islamic invaders. So imagine if that knowledge was there, we would have been at a very different level. But I always say that it is Kali Yuga, and maybe that's God's way of saying that hey, there should be a little fun element of life. Everything cannot be programmed like a chat GPT. And over a period of time, this Vidya will also go. But till the time it is there, we should respect. And that's why I always say that the biggest Durbhagya of Bharat has been that our Gurukul system has been gone away.
Correct. Exactly. But nothing is lost, because even there is a speck of a soul, the knowledge gets transmitted from one generation to another generation. So it will be sustained and scaled because it's not going to be lost. Nothing is lost because it is within us. So therefore, I think that it's great. It's great. No, it's actually now 2:48, Sree. I'll send you the update. Georgia has now been called. The Georgia was not called in this, so it's 2:48, which is what we predict, which is what the original sheet that I gave you. If you remember the original sheet that I gave you, I said 2:48 is what I had kind of sent you. And in fact, I'll send you that sheet one more time.
Yeah.
Continue, Karthik-ji. Continue. Please continue.
No, that is it. See, I was very clear, and I'm very clear that actually Trump is good for America. And I'm very clear that he has got Jupiter in the second house, aspected by Malefic. So financially, America would do exceedingly well under Trump. So there is no 2 doubts about it. And he has shown it in his first presidency as well, that financially and overall, the guy is a nationalist. It is very clear from his chart. He means business. And the only problem is he talks a lot. Sometimes because of Ketu on the Arudha Lagna, and that is what I also discussed with Sree before, that he needs to be very, very careful that on the slip of tongue, he doesn't take up anything. And which is also a little bit of a problem with deep state, that hey, he talks a lot, but he doesn't do much. And these are the deep states wants people ke bhaiya wo kare bahut zyada, lekin let him talk about peace like Obama. So with Trump, it's a reverse case, and that's why a lot of the gun lobby and the deep state doesn't like him, because they know कि भाई ये बोलता बहुत कुछ है, लेकिन technically he's not going to open up the war fronts. So technically, from an American perspective, they are going to focus on finance. They are going to focus on what is required, because there is a huge debt for US. They can keep printing the notes, but the fact of the matter is that's not a long-term strategy. So Trump, considering, I'm still leaving a caveat, hoping that like a Pakistani situation, there is no Form 45, 47, suddenly the lights don't go off and all that drama doesn't happen. And if Trump is going to be there, believe me, it's going to be good for the world in general and for US in specific.
Well, I think that's a fact that people, can't kind of comprehend. I'm just trying to send a chart to Sree so that he gets it. Yeah, okay, I sent it. So I think what people can't still comprehend is that, in 4 years of his presidency, I was associated in a few ways. In 4 years of his presidency, there's lots of things that was achieved by not involving and by not engaging in the geopolitics and allowing things to happen, but saying there will be a fierce and disproportionate response if there's any action taken anywhere. So that thwarted on that side. Now, to your point that he doesn't do anything is incorrect, because people He doesn't make statements. And the second, the way Trump runs is he delegates and gives people. He's a businessman. He delegates and makes people. For example, Treasury. The entire Treasury, the way the Treasury was run, we kept the interest rates low. The debt was, the interest cost during entire Trump regime was somewhere between $340 to $400 billion. And today it is around $1.2 trillion. The defense was given priority. Oil prices were around 50 to 60. Inflation was 2%. So therefore, the presidency leadership is about being a leader and setting policies for people to execute. That's on the defense side. On the state side, which is the geopolitical, on Mike Pompeo, he gave very clear directive without interfering. So Mike Pompeo was in India, thwarting India-China, was in South China Sea. There were 4 ships. We covered this in our program, Daily Global Insights. Theodore Roosevelt, then Reagan. Then we also had the South Fleet vessel. All the 4 fleets were, all the 4 major carriers were in South China Sea and East Sea, thwarting any attempts on the Taiwanese side. The Russia, I remember the Senkaku as well as the Diaoyu Islands, they remained relatively quiet during that period. So therefore, to the point that I'll conclude, to the point that he allows people to do things and he just doesn't make statements about it. So lots of things are done. He also has written why the defense guys who don't like me go and write books, and that's why they go and write books. That is his defense secretary. So he was left sideways, and most of it was dealt by Mike Pompeo. I'll stop, sir.
Thank you so much. Yeah, go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much. Just one comment. When I meant to say he doesn't do much, I meant to say in terms of opening up war fronts, not in terms of the administration work, right? And I need to leave. Thank you so much, Sridharji and Sreeji. Namaskar. Thank you.
Nice to meet you, sir. Nice to meet you.
So I'm looking for some updates on all these different states. In the meantime, I just wanted to acknowledge a few people for their donations. Can we have Karthik Kesaraju? Thank you so much. If Trump wins, Indians in US should lobby against Khalistanis in US and Canada. Pressure against Justin there. I think that's going to happen. That is coming. Don't you think so, Sridharji?
Oh yeah, it's coming. It's coming. It's coming, Sriji. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. There will be a forceful stance taken, and there's one other little thing, that Justice Department or against NSA Doval, that'll be withdrawn. There's the case that will be withdrawn. Okay, that he has to appear for that. Some fellows Khalistanis.
Right. Pannu assassination attempt.
Yeah, right. So that'll be withdrawn. So you will see lots of changes, and you will also see some positive changes within the Department of Defense and National Security, because there's been lots of things that has happened within that. We may see very positive changes emerging out of this. It's quite amazing, Sriji, that quite a few channels have called Georgia, whereas our friends in Fox have not called Georgia as yet. Whereas the others have called Georgia.
Interesting, sir. one thing that Trump said, and I'm guessing now that John Bolton would not be in this administration. He was joking that John Bolton will go to meeting and threaten war, even if a $15 drone of US was taken down by them. $15 drone.
Amazing. So, guys, when you're seeing these numbers, 248 to 216, 248, you're seeing here the difference between 248. I mean, Harris is 216. 216 is the Maine. The state of Maine has been called, so that's 216. There you go. So you can see that right up there, Maine has been called. So therefore, you have 216 to 248. 248 is a reflection of the Georgia being called. So we are 22 seats shy of announcing the next president-elect. 22 electoral college votes shy of announcing the next presidential candidate. Okay, 64.
Sridharji, Fox just called Georgia for Trump.
Fantastic. There you go. So there you go. So now it is, oh yes, they have 248 to 216. So yes, you're correct. So 248 to 216, the number of votes they had kept at the same, 64 million to 59 million, or 64 million to 59.6 million. So therefore, that's still a big number. Remember, going to be, there's quite a big states, Arizona, Michigan, Wisconsin, then Minnesota and Pennsylvania still to be called. Pennsylvania is a very big state, 19 electoral college votes. So what we may see here is somebody tweeted that Kamala Harris' Twitter feed has been shut. She's decided to go quiet, or be quiet. What the warning signals, I mean, I will acknowledge, Sree, you had lots of things you had indicated. Lots of my friends also indicated that this is the Trump will win this election. But when I just simply look at we analyze this, when I looked at the numbers, we said, unless there is a shift, and in this case, the shift has happened, and that no pollster predicted that the shift will happen. In the kind of the traditional Democratic belt, that there will be traditional Democratic voters, which is, I'm talking about the African American, men, and maybe some of the conservative middle Democrats abandoned the party and decided to switch and say, this is the time to punish. That's the same thing happens to the Republicans. When the Republicans go astray, they will face the same kind of consequences as they have faced when Obama got elected and when Trump was defeated in 2020. So we are 22 electoral college votes away. We are waiting to announce that result and, then probably take a break, Sree. So I think, what time is it?
Last one request, sir. Sachinji, can you bring close to Wisconsin? I want to say Wisconsin. I'm showing 84% votes counted, 51.4% for Donald Trump and 47.2% for Kamala Harris. The lead is 120,000 votes. Sir, what do you think? 120,000 in Wisconsin, where probably not much hanky-panky. That should be called for Trump, isn't it?
It should be called for Trump. It should be called for Trump. 84%, but also we need to be careful about the district. So 84%, if I say 90%, at 90%.
No, 84, sir, 84.
Yeah, no, I'm saying at 90% we can call the election. We can call it's 84%. There is still room, but it's a very big number, very big margin. 4% is very big margin, G, very big margin. So clearly Wisconsin is going his way. Wisconsin looks going his way.
Yeah. Move to Minnesota, please. Look at Minnesota, sir. It's even bigger. So not Minnesota, sorry, Michigan, to the right of Wisconsin. There you go.
Very
so
early, G. Very early.
58%, sir. 58%. But he has built close to 200,000 votes, sir. 200,000 votes.
42% of votes still to be counted, G. You're talking about 3.4 million votes thus far counted. Okay, 42%. Still we have a good number of votes to be counted. Pennsylvania. I think Pennsylvania, we can almost reasonable to call Pennsylvania is going to Trump. That's clearly about 4 percentage points or 3.4 percentage points ahead for Trump, with 90, in about 10% of the seat, 10% of the votes to be counted. Okay, so she has to get all the 10% of the votes, or she has to get at least 8% of the 10% or 8% of the votes to first close the gap before to go ahead.
Yes, indeed. Sridharji, I think, well, let's take a final look at Arizona, please. What happened on Arizona?
Too close.
49. Yeah, it's still close. 49.9. And how much percentage has been counted? 51% votes counted. 49.9 to 49.2. 13,000 votes. Yeah.
Polls are closed, and 11 votes. So I think that we need to look at these three, and then the election is decided, sir. So Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. We don't need to worry about Minnesota. Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, with Michigan, and Wisconsin. As is often the case, the elections are decided. So with the numbers that we are seeing, 248, we are now almost certain that it is President Trump, Sree. Almost certain it's President Trump.
You'll be surprised to know Oregon is less blue than California, sir. Oregon, 63% of the votes counted, 55.3% to Kamala, 42.3% to Donald Trump. Not bad, sir.
Switching allegiance, yeah. Switching. You remember part of, we covered this in our show. In DGI, part of Oregon, 10 districts separated themselves through a resolution to become part of Idaho. You remember that?
Yes.
So we
they're all bordering Idaho. They're all bordering Idaho.
Bordering Idaho. They decided no, they're not supportive of this, left-wing policies. See that actually Democrats, to regain and to bring some semblance of normalcy, has to go back to the traditional roots of fair, centrist, non-discriminatory, the policies that are not burning America, okay? White-collar jobs, domestic workers, they have to go back to those roots. It's not illegals and putting, and also not abandoning is the traditional allies. Many of them were fed up with the crimes. Many of them were fed up with the stuff that was going on in elite schools in the United States. How can you have Hamas and Hezbollah and Palestinian flags in elite colleges? Elite colleges, which people cherish and join. That's another kind of a big issue that traditional kind of Democrats face. Then you have this issue of the dole-outs being given to all these guys free. That has a direct consequence to the middle poor Americans. And the question that's asked is why many of the Democrats need to be, many of them historically tend to be, or traditionally tend to be the Democrats. We talked about food stamps. They don't want to be in food stamps. And they don't want to be all the time to be called in. They need economic upliftment, and they need benefit first. The homeless Americans need support first before you kind of bring all these people and pitch money and give. The homeless America was not looked after and catered and treated, and preference was given in pursuit of power for whatever reasons with porous borders. I think all these issues that the traditional Democrats must go back and look at and say, how are they going to tackle for them to regain some semblance of power? So in these states, Ohio, right? Ohio is, it's a rust belt and a lot of poor people as well. If Pennsylvania, Trump gets back, that means that, Republicans have addressed the issue. I listened to one of the Democratic voters who was being interviewed. He said he put 4 issues: porous borders, domestic and international global security, economic threat caused by many of these illegals coming in, and then abandoning our traditional ally. So this is a white American, who said, I'm a Democrat, but I will vote for the Democratic governor, Bob Casey. I think it's Bob Casey, or a Senate member. I don't know whether Casey is contesting for governor or the Senate race. So he's voting for Casey, but he didn't vote for Harris in the presidential election.
Sridharji, I'd like you to summarize what happens here moving forward from tomorrow. A transition government or transition team gets put in place, regardless of who is elected. Doesn't matter. It's Kamala Harris She will have her own transition team that will not be probably what Biden might have had if he was going to start. In fact, if he's coming back, he may not even need a transition team. It's just like business as usual. So talk to us a little bit about what is this transition team? What does it do? Is that a separate group of people? Will some people from transition team come into the actual administration once Trump takes office in Jan 21st? Talk to us a little bit about that stuff.
I'll do that. Let me correct myself. Dave McCormick is leading Bob Casey in Pennsylvania with 90% of the votes counted. That's an upset for the Senate race. That'll be a flip.
So there'll be 52-48.
Correct. Will be a flip. Okay, that's a big news. That means that's also giving you an indication that the votes are going for Trump. Okay, now to your point, the question that you have asked is the transition team will come in and basically make sure that all the things that the government, the previous government hands over by way of things, including budget stuff, to and start meeting people and receiving input around how to shape the administration on day one, and who would be holding, and how the protocols will be managed, etc. Okay, so it is an interim administration which takes charge to bring the government back in power until all these processes that needs to happens, like January 1st week. Each of the states the secretary has to endorse the election, and he has to send the results to the House and the Senate, and in each of the House and Senate the resolutions will be passed, and the new members will be sworn in, and then the president will eventually get sworn in. So the presidential election will be formally stamped. So then during this period, you still have to keep the administration going. They will not be allowing the previous administration, once the results are over, so that these people don't make any last minute changes and things like that. So anything and everything that happens with the oversight of the incoming administration. That's why you have a transition team, and transition team is announced fairly quickly. Okay, now that gives window of time for the president to interview and select the key people for the key posts. What are the three key posts? The three key posts. In fact, 5 key posts. Number 1, Treasury. Number 2, State. Number 3, Defense. Number 4, Department of Homeland Security, which will deal with all these border issues. And Department of Health Services. Health is very big, so 5 departments. And then, of course, Department of then you have the secretary in charge of trade, the global trade, and that's a very big, because that they are the ones who kind of enact policies and frameworks and begin to conduct. Another important post, which is where indications are Madam Stefanik could be the candidate, the nominee for United Nations. The nominee for United Nations. This will now begin to shape the discussions on the reform of United Nations. If there is going to be India's and Germany's and Japan's chance to make its way to become the UN UN Security Council permanent members, then you're going to see that probably happen with some kind of influence. But having said that, I don't know how good Olaf, the German chancellor, is with Trump. Clearly, the Japan historically aligns with United States. Of course, everybody knows Modi aligns and with our friend, with the President Trump, and of course Netanyahu met with. Very interesting changes taking place. Viktor Orban from Hungary met with Trump in Mar-a-Lago. So many of the Eastern European people who came in and probably bypass some of the meetings will be meeting. Small bloc Eastern European nations, Estonia, Lithuania, Latvia, these countries are also going to see resurgence, which much more support coming from President Trump in his current role, supporting those nations in terms of making sure that there is no kind of a threat. So I think that, so you will see a lot of geopolitical changes. In Asia, people forget that United States was the largest bilateral trading partner and most exports going to ASEAN from United States. From ASEAN to United States. You may see the consolidation of that happening. You may see resurgence of Taiwan, and Taiwan getting much more latitude in terms of its footprint expansion on the semiconductor industry, and it will insist, and more states opening up in United States for their fab factories. There will be a pause, an impasse, and Xi Jinping will be unwise to do anything. How he tackles with, he had a relationship with North Korean leader. They met with great fanfare in Singapore. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of call he makes to this little man who plays with his toys at his will, and whether he will be calmed down is another kind of interesting. Very clear, there will be changes in Bangladesh. There will be changes happening in and around Pakistan. There will be changes happening around Nepal. And there'll be a message going in that greater Himalayan Tibetan region. You will see many of those things playing a part. I don't know whether Mike Pompeo will be an advisor. He will not be a state secretary. I think that state secretary may go to somebody else. We'll probably cover that in the next show. We don't want to give all the information away, having not got the result as yet.
Yes. Let's not count our chickens before the roost. We will wait for that official thing. So we will probably come back and do a quick program tomorrow, time permits, Sridharji. I will find out if you are up in the night, and I don't know. We'll have to probably come back in 6 to 8 hours time. I would say 7 hours time might not be too bad. Let's stay in touch. We'll find out what's going to happen over the night. And viewers, thank you so much for joining us. We have a few acknowledgements, and then we can wrap up. Thank you, Chelsea, for your donation. Michigan Arabs vote for independent instead of Democrat. Interesting. Again, vote bank, I guess. Chelsea again. New Jersey Democrats lost a lot of ground. Shocking. And according to his birth chart, Trump's golden period starts in February. So, Sridharji, is that true? Any idea?
No, we have to ask Mr.
Karthik-ji.
Yeah, we have to ask Mr. Karthik-ji. Yeah.
Well, that brings us to a close of today's program. Viewers, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Share this thing with all your friends. Sridharji, it was truly an honor to have you for 3 hours and 36 minutes and counting. It was wonderful. And I think today we probably established a new record of sorts. This is the first time we have covered elections on PGurus. And I hope you liked it, viewers. I hope you also got all these other undercurrents like economy and other developments and so on and so forth. I'd like to continue doing this thing. For that, we need your support. Thanks once again, Sridharji. Namaskar.
Thank you. Namaskar. And thanks for all your support, and continue to support Sree Iyer and PGurus, and your patronage and support is very critical for the channel to continue to grow and evolve. Thank you. And I hope you all enjoyed the program.
Thank you, sir.
Namaste.